Hello everyone and welcome to Bxb'S Bits and Bobs episode 58, Cowboy Mythos. And today I have with me the Black Country editor, Chris, Humble Gamer.
All right there. How you doing?
is that like in character accent?
It's good to see you. All right.
I don't know this accent. I'm gonna go Suffolk with mine. How's that? I don't know yours. I'm a bit like a hobbit in the Shire.
Yes, I can see that.
Yeah,
I can do a proper Black Country one because I used to live there.
We also have Richard Worrell with us. He's speaking, so I'll introduce him.
Hello. I used to live in Wednesbury, Chris.
Oh, cool. My mum was born in Darlaston, so we used to drive through Wednesbury quite a lot.
I'm very sorry to
I know, so she was upset the day she was born.
If I say to you, I used to, well, for about 3 months, I lived just south of Sheffield. Am I in the right part of the country?
No.
Too far north, too far, like, where's, I don't know.
I mean,
that sucked, by the way, living
that's
there.
That's like saying you're a proper Londoner if you live in Watford. It's not quite the same.
Right. Okay. I'm bad at UK geography. I'm probably better at American geography, which is really upsetting.
That's all right. I'm now quickly running onto Google Maps to see that Watford is actually 1,000,000 miles away from London.
How are you guys all doing? Did you survive Halloween? We were dreading Halloween on the last podcast for me and Chris particularly.
I mean,
and have you made it through the other side?
I mean, almost. If only. Yes, but yeah, it's
work in progress.
I mean, well, officially, my job doesn't finish Halloween until 6 o'clock tomorrow night.
I can tell you, man. Like the Thursday morning, I was so happy to tear out that section of my work. Yeah. I don't want to say where I work, but like, I was just like, God, yes, I hate it. I've never liked Halloween. It's never been my thing. I never did it as a kid. I don't do the dressing up thing. It's not been my bag. And I'd rather start ramping up for Christmas. I think that's a more fun time of year than Halloween. So
I'm a January kind of guy.
Just misery, depression,
nothing happens.
Post-Christmas downer.
Nothing happens, and no fucker comes to where I work. So.
Yeah, that's legit. I can understand. I can understand that. Rich is like, I work in an office. It doesn't matter what time of year it is. It's the same all the time.
It's true. It's.
I
suppose there's no highs and lows in my work. It's all pretty lows.
I knew you were going to say that. So you've got more time off coming up.
Yeah. How is this happening?
Didn't you have like a week, 3 weeks off or something?
What is your holiday allowance and how does it work?
I have flexible hours, and I've been working flexibly far too much. So it turns out I've got lots of hours to spend. Yes, I did have a week off. I've been back for a week, and I'm having another week off.
That's amazing. I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. I mean, I've got an extra day off next week because people might be finally coming to fix my boiler so I can have some central heating now that we're into single digits temperature, which will be nice. So that's not really a day off.
Around the chippy tea.
So your boiler's still not sorted out?
So I have hot water, but I don't have heating. This is exciting discussions on Bxb'S Bits and Bobs episode 58 podcast. This is really good. This is what people tune in for. But tough shit. This is my podcast. We'll talk about it if we want. Saying that, though, we probably should get into the fact that Richard seems to basically spend his time trying to watch as much Netflix as possible every single 2-week period, and would explain why whenever I log into Xbox, that's all he's doing is watching Netflix. So what every new release we've got on here. So we've got Sabrina's there, Making a Murderer 2, new release, So how was Sabrina? I am quite curious about that. I think I liked Riverdale season 1, so.
I didn't watch Riverdale because it looks totally not what I'd be into, but then I really enjoyed Sabrina, so maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it's basically the same, especially now I've heard in Riverdale they brought in like supernatural elements into season 3, so it's probably basically the same show. So...
They're in the same universe because they do mention Riverdale in Sabrina. I enjoyed it. I used to watch. That's a lie. I was going to say I used to watch the show as a kid. I didn't. I was aware of it. I knew that it was on. It's not like I sat down and watched.
So hold on. It because I was kind of I'm not entirely sure about this. Is it a dark remake of a certain kids show with a talking cat?
All right,
well, it's based on a comic.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
It's part of the Archie family of comics.
Yeah.
Right.
They're very different interpretations of that comic. I can't claim to know what the comic is like. I don't know if this is faithful.
So this is a pretty faithful adaptation of the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which is a comic book. Yes.
Right.
And it's quite accurate to that, from what I've heard.
Does she finally sleep with Harvey? That's all I care about. Does she sleep with Harvey?
I mean, I'd be more interested in seeing her really hot aunts taking their clothes off or something. I mean, I remember that when I was growing up, going, "God damn, right? Yeah, something's awakening here." So
it's not quite like that. She doesn't really have. She doesn't really have hot aunts, but yeah, it is really dark.
Okay.
Especially if you're familiar with the original show, you'll be double taking almost every 5 minutes. What just happened?
I might have to watch it then. If only. Oh, there's a YouTube video I could do a comparison,
scene by scene.
Yeah, scene by scene.
It's a long series you're planning there. I like it.
Yeah.
I'll just do the pilots.
My worry going into it, it's obviously geared at teenagers, right? And stuff like that can often be really schmaltzy. It can just be really cringeworthy, and I thought I would struggle to get into it. Sarah wanted to watch it. I thought I'd tag along, but actually I ended up really enjoying it, and we watched it all in a couple of days. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next season, which is already being commissioned.
Nice.
So I didn't expect to like it as much as I did, but yeah, it's a really good show. It's funny. It's got dark bits as well. It's just one of those shows that gets the balance right. You know, it doesn't overstay its welcome in any particular focus. It's just a good show.
Do you know what's funny, Richard? Do you know what's funny? I just thought of this because the same thing happened on the last podcast. That ever since you came up with the amazing name for this segment, we've proceeded not to use it once.
Yes.
And instead of, because we'd always say it's untitled segment, now we just don't call it anything. Like, we just get into it. So this is Crossing the Streams, by the way, where we talk about what Richard has predominantly watched on Netflix every episode. So just so you know, because Richard came up with that name and I like it, so we should use it sometimes.
You are the host, Ben. You really should remember this stuff.
Well, you could too. You came up with it. I mean, come on. It's not all me. I mean, I spent an hour making the quiz for the end of the show, so shush you. I do the homework. Have you guys read the news articles? Have you? I bet you haven't. I bet you haven't. We'll soon find out. I'll test you. I will be testing you. So I binge watched Big Mouth season 2. So have you guys? What was that? What's he saying? What's he saying?
No, I know, but I know. I can tell.
I don't know what's going on, but you're arseholes, pair of you. I hate you both. Have you guys watched any Big Mouth?
No.
I think I mentioned it briefly on the last one.
I caught your review of Cthulhu.
We'll get on to that. That's not streams. Come on, crossing the streams.
That's a stretch that was. I'm not even sure I get that, but okay. I guess he's big, so he'd have.
I was calling you Big Mouth. Never mind. The comedy failed. Move on.
All right. Well, let's analyze it to make it worse for you. I mean, that's always the way to do it with comedy. It's always funnier if you diagnose it. Yeah. No. So Big
Frog. Nobody cares, and the frog dies. Carry on.
Big Mouth season 2 is very good. I just want to make sure everybody should watch Big Mouth. It's the best adult comedy animation thing out there today. It's even better than South Park. If you're not watching it, watch it. That's all I wanted to say about that. I also went to see the movie nobody went to see because it came out of cinemas after about a week, which is Hunter Killer, which is the Gerard Butler, Gary Oldman sort of Cold War era submarine thriller, almost, to do with a potential World War III situation between Russia and America. And I really, really enjoyed it. Like, if you're into that sort of genre of film, that sort of Crimson Tide and Hunter Red October,
exactly like Crimson Tide.
Well, yeah, because but the thing is, it's been long enough, hasn't it? Like, since we had a film like that. And yeah, it nails the whole claustrophobia, the dangers of those kind of submariners that they go through, you know. And you have I have a lot of respect for those guys, because that is a hell of a job being underwater like that, at those depths for those periods of time. And Jerry's at his best, maximum Gerard Butler. Gary Oldman scene chewing with as the I believe he's the what's the top admiral in the US? I can't remember now. Chief Joint Chiefs. Leader of the Chief
of Staff, that sort of thing.
Chief, one like top military dude in the guy.
Master Chief, something like that.
Master Chief, John 117.
They wish.
Yeah, could do it. Well, we're soon going to have the Space Force, aren't we? So that's coming. So I'm hoping for genetically modified super soldiers as well. I'd be disappointed if Trump doesn't do that, actually. So get on that. But yeah, really good movie. Like, I thought it was a nice bit of counter programming around Halloween. You know, obviously Halloween is the big movie, which I know Richard's seen, which is in the cinema at the moment. But yeah, it was nice. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a big Halloween person, so it was nice to watch an old school war action movie / thriller. It was really good. Really good movie.
Is it like a serious movie? Gerard Butler's more recently known for his wafer thin action films, isn't he?
Yeah, Geostorm was terrible, but this is a decent movie. Yeah, I think it's a strong like 3 out of 5. You know, definitely worth watching when it hits Sky and whatnot, or checking out on Blu-ray or something if you're in the mood for something, you know, yeah, in that style. And you either are or you aren't. You know, it's one of those, you kind of know what you're gonna get going in. But I think they do a good job of making the threat seem plausible. You know, the idea that Russia could become a conventional threat, you know, they don't mention nukes at any point, but they actually do a good job of making you think that this is plausible enough that this coup thing happens in the film. So yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's a cool movie. How's Halloween, Rich? I mean, the idea of it does nothing for me, but did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy it. When I watched it, I was thinking, have I seen all of the others? Because there were 3 before this, weren't there? So I've definitely seen the first one.
There's a lot more than 3, Rich.
Is there?
There's a lot more Halloweens than 3. There's around 8 or 9.
Right, bear with me. You carry on talking. I'm Googling.
Yeah, he's going to bring up the wiki. There's a lot more.
Yeah, I thought, there are loads of this, and then I thought, oh no, I'm getting confused with Friday the 13th.
Well, there's a lot of those as well.
There's an awful lot of those. Yeah, 11 Halloween movies.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, I knew it was a lot. That's even more than I realized.
No, we're not kidding. They are.
So I guess they're not all canonical then.
So this new Halloween movie is only canonically connected to the very first Halloween movie. It does away with everything in between.
Yeah. So that's probably what confused me, because I don't remember any of the others. Maybe they're just ultra forgettable.
Yeah,
but I remember the first.
Yeah.
And I really liked how they've developed. What's her name? The actor.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis. They've developed her character in a similar way that they did with Sarah Hamilton in Terminator 2.
Isn't it Linda Hamilton?
Linda Hamilton, yeah. Who's Sarah Hamilton?
Don't know.
I don't know.
She sounds like an Olympic runner.
Yeah,
like she'd be in the 400, like the 800 meters in 1987.
Have I had too much beer already? Yeah, Linda Hamilton, you're right.
Keep drinking, get through the other side, then you'll be right.
Okay, let's keep pushing on. Right, so Linda Hamilton, you can cut that bit out, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. That's how live broadcasts work. Cutting out now.
Okay, thank you.
Done.
So Linda Hamilton, she gets all like serious and moody and badass, and she doesn't like anybody. No one likes her, and she's a bit mental. It's pretty much the same character. So she's like set up her house to be like this fortress, just in case Jason, Mike, what's his name?
Crossing the franchises again there, Jason. So, brilliant. Yeah, okay. No, it would be Michael Myers. Michael Myers. Yeah.
Mike, what's his name? That great Halloween murderer character.
Mike Mask. The guy with the what was
hockey dude.
Right. This is why everyone comes to us for film reviews.
Absolutely. Hot takes, man.
Michael Myers, he does come back. He escapes from mental
prison.
Yeah. So that happens, and then he kills some people, and she has to take him on. So it's exactly what you would expect it to be.
The
way it develops with her character, it builds up the relationship with her family and how the events of the first one have affected her life since, and how that's had an impact on relationships with her family and whatnot. It works really well. So those sorts of films are 10 a penny, aren't they? But of that genre, I thought it did a good job.
Can we please make it a new thing on this channel that Richard, like once a month, does a live review of whatever movie we give him for the month? Well, I think it would be brilliant.
We considered things like we all watch something on Netflix and then we can just talk about it. I mean, that would be pretty funny, and I could find some. There's some really good obscure shit on those streaming services. So consider it.
Mike Myers escapes from mental place, kills some people,
stops old lady, shoot him,
and gets attacked by old Jamie Lee Curtis, and then some words come up to music. 3.5 stars.
Well, yeah, that does sound like a fair score as well. That we don't do half stars. That's super annoying.
It's annoying for me. There's a couple of games I wanted to give half stars to. And I'm
you have to decide. You have to choose. Part of the game. So talking about Chris, choices: Archer or Railways of the Holocaust. Now, I know which one I want to hear about. Railways of the Holocaust more than Archer, because I don't like Archer. So one thing I can get behind though is Railways and the Holocaust. So please tell us about that.
First of all, Richard, you ask your
for a second. How are you saying railways?
Railways.
That's hilarious. Railways.
I don't know what's going on now. I've had beer as well, but like, am I saying it strangely? I mean,
it's all right. I'll come down and see you on the train on that railway thing.
Railways. I don't know what's going on. Okay, I'm very confused now.
It's a file type. Hello, Charlie. Charlie, you're not on the podcast this week.
But she can put up some shelves if she wants. I mean,
she's not putting up any shelves this week.
I think we've killed Richard as well. He seems to have disappeared. No, he's back now. So tell us about Railways of the Holocaust.
I'm not sure I'm comfortable talking about this with the jokey connotation that it's now got. Because it was an extremely serious program.
Tell us about the Holocaust.
It can't be that serious though. It was Chris Tarrant on a railway.
No, it was Chris Tarrant's Railways on a Holocaust, and he actually went. No, he went.
Do you know what it sounds like? It's like Terrence and Phillip from South Park, isn't it? That's what it sounds like.
I apologize profusely
to all those Holocaust survivors and deniers equally.
But yeah, no, it was an interesting program where he charted how useful and how necessary actually the railways were to Hitler's war effort in general, and how the trains they built to transfer people to the Nuremberg rallies in the early 1930s actually taught them how to transport mass amounts of prisoners. In the 1940s, and it was very, very obviously dark and serious, but it actually was genuinely interesting documentary. So if you catch it and you're into your railways and stuff, I'd recommend it.
Okay, I don't know how to segue into the next bit, so I'm just going to go in there. I think we can say one of the reasons I'm giggling so much is the beer I've been drinking, which I got through a really cool service, really cheap on the internet. So you've got these things like Gusto and Blue Apron now. There's subscription boxes for food and stuff, and Loot Crate and Loot Gaming and all that stuff, which we've talked about on the podcast before. There's stuff like that for beer now. So you can subscribe to a service and they send you a box of beer a month or more frequently if you want. And I subscribed to this service called Beer 52. I got it for just the cost of the postage, so it cost me like £3 for this first trial month. And they sent me 8 beers, and I want to talk about now in the hopes that they hear this and send me more for free for pimping their stuff, because it's really fucking good. I have enjoyed literally all. I've got 2 left, and I have them with me now. But the 6 beers I've had so far have all been nicely diverse, different kinds of stouts and IPAs and pale ales, and like a real nice selection. with lots of very distinct flavor profiles, and they've been very enjoyable and all of a very high quality. And I believe this theme had them all come from the UK, but they go all around the world for the beers. And I think normally it's about like 23, 24 quid, which isn't too bad when you think about, you know, what you're getting, you know, when it comes to the craft beer market, you know, if you go in a supermarket, the prices and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it comes with a snack, and it comes with like an actual paper, pretty thick, extensive magazine about beer. I didn't know you could write that much about beer, but they found a way to fill a whole fucking magazine. Like, it's called Firmament, and there's a lot of articles in this magazine.
Well,
I thought it was all going to be
a
adverts.
ton of beer and said write about it.
Yeah, I mean, literally, they've got like a dedicated team here. I want their job of traveling around the world drinking beer and writing about it. I could do that. I could do that job. That would be a good job. But yeah, I just want to mention Beer 52. Really enjoying it. Yeah, really, really good. So that was my other thing. We have a little other section on the show notes, and that's my other thing from the last couple of weeks. Richard, your other thing is taking me back to my youth a little bit.
New Prodigy album.
Sweet.
It's dead good, you know. It's one of those funny albums that you first hear it and you think, I don't know. Am I too old for this, or are they too old for this?
Both.
I've listened to it a few times now, though, and I am proper pumped because I'm going to go see them next week. They're
very
touring.
nice.
Just new stuff, or some of the classics as well?
I don't know. Normally they mix it up, so they normally do like hour 15 minutes, and they'll do a mixture of new and old. There's only 10 tracks on the new album, so they will have to do more than the new stuff. But yeah, they normally do a pretty good job. I've seen them a bunch of times. I'm very excited about that. So awesome. Sarah's going with me. She has told me this is the last time she will ever see the Prodigy because she actually hates them.
oh Jesus! Could you not have taken someone else? Just subjugate her to it. That's horrible.
well, yeah, I would have done, but she was like, "Yeah, I'll go," and she's only just told me that she doesn't really want to.
No,
go.
you see what he's asking
That's
there.
Love. That's love.
What he's asking there is, couldn't you have taken him?
Well, we're a bit far away. But yeah, Richard, where was my invite? Oh man, that's really harsh, man.
Well, we are a bit far away, but actually, fucking yeah. Hold on, yeah.
Well, I didn't take him to see wrestling, to be fair. So I mean, that's
well, I mean,
so that's. Have you seen me on TV yet, Richard? I was on the last couple of NXT UKs.
I haven't got
in the front row.
Yet.
Oh man.
Have you been on there, then, have you?
Yeah, oh yeah, you can't miss me. Like it's so I'm right. My head goes under the bottom rope, and you can just see me in like most of the shots. It's really funny.
Cool.
It's hilarious.
Want to get it back? I'll have a look at that. But yeah, new Prodigy album. Buy it. It's good. There's probably not that many standout bangers on it as like you might expect. It's just kind of an album, you know. It's not
no smack my bitch ups then.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything quite that stand out, but yeah, as an album, it works. It's good.
Okay. Right then, let's get on to the elephant in the room. We're going to go straight in to some Red Dead Redemption 2 discussion because we got some big-ish news stories around this as well from the last couple of weeks. And also, obviously, I've been playing it and Richard's been playing it. We're both still quite early on because we've been playing other games as well for review and stuff like that. But I've done a fair bit, enough to definitely have a good sort of impression of the game. It's interesting looking at these articles that I've linked in the show notes and that you guys have read now that we're a week or so after release, because it's very easy for the release to overshadow and make people forget about the working conditions because the game is so impressive and you can see the work on the screen, you know, at all times. Like the detail in the animations, in the visual fidelity is frankly incredible. There is no game like this, I don't think, in an open world nature out there until right now. But I feel somewhere in the middle because definitely some outlets have been, my God, this game is so amazing, let's not talk about any of the controversy. And then other outlets have been, the controversy has completely clouded my enjoyment of the experience because of, you know, every time I look at this, I see those 80-hour weeks, those 90-hour weeks, and what people have gone through to make that game for not enough compensation and not enough respect from the company. And I feel like it's difficult So I'm basically talking about in wider sense. Please look into the show notes. I link to the Kotaku article, the Eurogamer article, and the Polygon articles, all looking at the working conditions in Rockstar. And I'm not going to spend too much time hashing that out again. We touched upon it last time, and these articles have further expanded upon it. I particularly like the Eurogamer one because it looks at the UK studios, specifically looking at the QA departments and how it was basically mandatory overtime. What really struck me was the line in there that spoke about how they actually had to sign documents to waive their rights as people working in the UK, so that they completely waived the employment laws that protect themselves, and they had to do it to work in that job. So basically saying, you can only work a certain amount of time, and if you work a certain amount of time, you get a certain amount of time off. They actually waived those rights themselves as employees. So that's crazy to me that a company would ask an employee to do that, and it's even crazier that somebody would say yes.
Yeah,
because QA is nasty and it's a shitty job. And yeah, all right, it's QA for Rockstar, but still, it's just fucking QA, mate. So I don't know. I don't want to bang on about it too much, I guess. Richard, is there anything you wanted to add or bring up from the articles? Did you have a chance to read any of them?
Yeah, I've had a look. I don't know. I'm really conflicted over stuff like this because I don't want to sort of shit on the hard work in favor of focusing purely on the bad experience that devs might have had, because in doing that you're kind of, I don't know, in a sense it makes the situation worse that you're focusing purely on their suffering and not recognizing what came out of it. So I think it's right that you appreciate how good a job they've done on the final product.
You don't want to invalidate all that hard work. Yeah, that's what it comes down to. You know, they've made that sacrifice for a reason, and it's there. It's incredibly well received. It is probably one of the greatest games, if not, or at this point, the greatest game of the generation. It almost certainly, you know, by critical reception, it's not my greatest game of the generation, but some people like it's going to go down in history. You know, that's what we're saying, and that's why they do it, is because you will do those, you'll make those sacrifices because it's a Rockstar game, because you know it's going to be at a level that is unmatched in the industry, and that's on your CV. You know, that's what you're doing it for. Those sacrifices are made for that reason purely. The suggestion being that people wouldn't make those level of sacrifices for other studios, that you wouldn't sacrifice your workers' rights. You got to remember, the reason I bring up QA is these people, right, the sort of the fantasy is for a lot of gamers that you work in game development, you're making loads of money, and you're doing the game, the thing that you've always wanted to do, and it's a great experience. First of all, QA, often minimum wage. Secondly, it is the most thankless and awful task in the world, quality assurance. You are just hammering often the same tiny portion of the game over and over and over and over and over again to try and fix bugs and to spot problems. So in a game like Red Dead, that might be sort of, I don't know, trying to jump over a particular fence at a particular place in a particular time period of the game for 8 hours.
Yeah, you're not really playing
to try and fix a bug. You're not playing the game. You're not making the game either. That's the thing. You are trying to fix the game.
You're not playing any more than a crash dummies enjoying a country drive. You know, it's yeah.
So I think that's worth mentioning, because that's what a lot of the UK based studios, several of them are geared up for, is the QA stuff. But yeah, it's Rockstar. So I mean, you're still early, Rich, but like, what are your impressions so far?
I am really early. My impressions are that it feels quite weighty, but that's Rockstar, isn't it? They always feel slightly odd compared to other games in the way your character moves around. It feels like it's done with an emphasis on looking realistic rather than feeling intuitive. So it takes a bit of getting used to. And I think the controls overall have had a bit of stick, haven't they, for just being overly complicated, some odd button mapping going on there.
Rockstar have their control methods. There are options in there to make things a bit more like a conventional shooter, like sprint being put back on the stick and making it toggle rather than hold. You know, there are things to improve it, but yeah, there's so much contextual control in this game that,
Yeah.
you know, depending on what you're doing, where you are, how you're stood, you know, that it's very easy to make mistakes, especially early on, and end up like getting into a gunfight purely by accident, because you've forgotten the specific combination of buttons in that, you know, heated moment, perhaps.
Yeah.
There are systems upon systems upon systems. It is like a clockwork world, on a huge scale. Sorry, Chris. Before
Yes.
I apologize. We moved on to discussing the game. Chris, unfortunately, he's a PC gamer with a fucking amazing rig, waiting for the hopeful future of release on that platform, which seems inevitable, but we don't have a time frame for it at this
or
point.
just Game Pass. Game Pass would do.
But yeah, but that would require them to, you know, make that version on PC, and put it through Microsoft, I suppose. But no, I mean, before I talk more about the game, is there anything you wanted to add on the wider discussion?
Or about Rockstar?
Yes.
The one thing I would say now, granted, I have not been in a professional acting company in terms of being on a stage for quite a long time, but the idea of doing 40 to 50-hour weeks as an actor while you're rehearsing a show is, again, it's one of those things. And now, granted, I didn't get paid minimum wage. Equity has its own minimum settings and stuff. So while I agree that crunch time is awful, and granted, I never did 100-hour weeks at any point in my career, because that's fucking insane. But I think to focus on the gaming industry's problem of crunch hours, and not just focusing on the issue of crunch hours as a whole, people doing massive amounts of work for not a lot of pay, focusing on the gaming industry could be dangerous to people in other industries who actually do work that perhaps isn't, and this is not to downplay what's happened at Rockstar, because I appreciate no matter how much you love something, it is still fucking hard work to do it, and I do appreciate that. But there are some people who are doing jobs that they really don't want to do, or are the only jobs they can do, and they're doing a lot. They're doing similar hours on worse pay on bad pay as well. So I think the issue of crunch time needs to be a thing that we look at across industry standards as a whole, not just in the gaming industry. That's all. I think
it's even beyond that. I mean, because crunch describes. Basically, it's the idea that for a shorter period of time, you will be expected to work longer hours for basically the same rate, or you know, that you're on anyway. So basically, the bigger problem right now in 2018 is this mentality, especially amongst younger people, millennial people, that they are happy to and often expected to work either for free or for very low amounts, and put in a great deal of extra effort just to get anywhere in employment, and it seems to be like in many industries, and it's like I've spoken to certain young people about this, and they just, the attitude is just like shrug shoulders and be like, yeah, it's just what you got to do now, you know. The unpaid, for example, unpaid internships are incredibly common in many industries, just in the hopes that you will get a proper job at the end of them, and often you won't. You're used as free labor. And this is a massive issue in 2018 in the West, because you know the employers, especially in countries which have got poor employment law like America, are willing to take advantage of this, and it's this kind of late form capitalism. And it's gross, mate, and it's absolutely disgusting. When I'm in a position of management in my job, and whenever one of my guys say to me something like, you know, I'll do it at home, or I'll put an extra hour in, I'm just like, no, you fucking won't, because it's wrong. You should get paid for the job you do. Like at the end of the day, it's work. It's always, you know, you might love it, you might fucking adore it, and you might want to get to work early every day, but if you're not, at the end of the day, if you don't get paid for it, you kind of shouldn't do it. You should always get remuneration for the work you put in.
Remember your worth. Whatever you're doing, whatever it is, remember your worth.
Yes, people are inherently, you know, be it creative or any kind of job, you know, there is a worth to that, and you should be paid for it.
And also on the flip side, this is a slightly different argument, but I just want to point it out. If you're one of those people that always says yes to doing the extra hours, you actually inadvertently make it slightly worse for other people as well, because people start to expect that people will say yes for it. Just putting it out there.
Well, yeah, at some point that's what's happened, isn't it?
Yeah.
At some point, the employee, there was a shift where they realized more and more people were willing to do this, and therefore it's become more and more normal. Especially the reason we talk about video games a lot is that it's a very attractive industry to work in for a lot of young people, and therefore all the jobs are oversubscribed, and therefore you get paid shit and you get treated like shit because that you get fired, you get replaced, you can get replaced. Yeah, so it's just grim. But back to talking about Red Dead a bit more. Yeah. The weird thing for me, Richard, is that I've just come off Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and it's probably the game I've played the most in the last few months. And Assassin's Creed Odyssey is this power fantasy of incredibly quick mobility. Everything is very instant. Looting is one button instantly. Everything goes into your inventory. You've got very little limits. You're basically a demigod. Combat and mobility, and then you go to Red Dead, and you're like, God, why am I like stuck in months at the time? I move so slowly. This is so fucking weird, and everything is very deliberate. Like you were saying, it's very weighty. All those animations when you're looting, my God, it takes a while to get used to because it's like open cupboard, loot for one item.
It's all animated, isn't it? Like when you're hunting and skinning animals as well. Like every cut of when you're skinning a deer or whatever, you can see every cut animated, and it all the skin pulls off in graphic detail.
I think it's interesting that you mentioned the hunting, because if you remember in Red Dead 1, that was something people complained about, wasn't it? It was oh God, these hunting animations taking so long. And what Rockstar have done, instead of removing them, they've doubled down on it.
Yeah.
That's now the whole fucking game, hombre. You're gonna fucking like it. Like it's become what they've done is it's great though in a way. It's incredibly brave and ballsy. They've set this pace for the whole gaming experience, which is just that. Oh man, it's the old West. Things take time.
Yeah.
It's deliberate. If you're committing to an action, you're choosing to do it in that moment. It has animation priority. It's almost like a Dark Souls game in that respect, that once you start doing something, you're fucking doing it. Like this is every action in this game should be done with thought involved. Do you know what I mean? And it's so different to Assassin's Creed. It's incredible. I'm enjoying. As a gamer, I enjoy Assassin's Creed more, but as someone who critically appraises the media of video games, I can't help but be blown away by what Red Dead is doing. Even if maybe the Rockstar-ness of it, the setting, the writing isn't 100% my jam, though I think this is easily the best thing they've ever written, like by a long way. The characters are fantastic.
It's far better than GTA. It doesn't have that knowing sassiness that really turns me off. It just feels authentic.
It just feels like you're there. That's the whole point. They've created a world for you to live in, and it genuinely feels like I was playing it just today, and I'm starting to get into it more and more, and opening up more and more of the mechanics. And Arthur Morgan, I love him. I play him. I have my own code, I guess. I don't play him as a good guy so much. I do bad things, but it's like only in certain situations. I never hurt women, or I always have a moral compass of my own for the character. I'm not trying to play him full Paragon or full Renegade, as it were, from Mass Effect terminology. But it's like, you can really play this game your way. He
feels more of a blank slate than John Marston was. Yes. I don't know if that's just because I haven't got that far into it, but I don't know who he is yet.
John's in the game early, as it were, young John, and that's interesting as well. The game is, I'm still learning myself, mate, so it's kind of hard for me to say. But from what I gather, it is going to be a story of the gang leader Dutch's descent into the evil that you see him as in Red Dead 1. But it's a kind of a descent for Morgan as well, as you make more and more compromises throughout the story, and you realize that just to survive and just to hold on to this way of life, you're becoming kind of this disgusting and despicable individual. I'm enjoying that. I don't mind being like this. This is a great setting that makes you feel even more free than GTA to really play out those villainous fantasies, and just shoot people and just fucking rob and pillage and beat up people that don't deserve it. I was doing like debt collecting missions earlier where I was just like these poor saps that desperately needed a bit of money. I'm like, no, man, you got to pay me back now, bro. You're not got the cash. I'm going to take it out of your face then. And it's just, I'm just beating the shit out of this dude. And everything, the animations, the visual fidelity, playing it like I'm sure Richard is on the Xbox One X, which is turns out the best platform to play on until it comes out on PC anyway. It looks stunning. It's an incredible world. And I can't fault the praise. It's the first time for me where I unequivocally will have to agree with the critical mass reception on a Rockstar game, because usually I have issues with them. This though, it's taken everything that was in that first game, turned it up to 11, doubled down on the pacing, and it just makes you inhabit that world. And it's incredible. It's incredible. Chris, I hope it comes out on PC sooner rather than later for you, mate.
I hope it does too.
Yeah.
I hope it does too. But we'll see. We will see. Because they said for a long time that Red Dead 1 would, and
never did.
Did that never come out on PC?
Nope.
No.
Made it.
Rockstar want you to double dip, though. I think what they're trying to do is they're going to try and get everybody to buy it on console, and then they can resell PC as the best place to play it in years' time, and then everybody will buy it again.
Yeah.
I imagine that's what the game is there. Anything else you wanted to add, Richard? I mean, I know you're early, so it's stunning, isn't it? Like the world.
I mean, I've only really talked about some of the mechanics and the gameplay of the thing, and that so far it's difficult to grasp, but I'm sure it will gel with me and I'll enjoy it. I've kind of left it till this week while I've got a week off to really put a lot of time into it. So
I can guarantee. So in a couple of weeks' time, we'll almost certainly come back to Red Dead and revisit it a bit more. Maybe talk about. We'll spoiler warning maybe, and talk about some of our favorite missions and character stuff maybe. At that point, it's going to definitely come up for Game of the Year. Chris, it's the first time I think I've mentioned Game of the Year, but you better start preparing for it.
Oh, okay. Do we do that? Do we do that thing?
We do that thing, my man. Or we do that thing. That's a lot of podcasting, I tell you.
I'm still new in the office, folks.
Look up last year's. Yeah,
Will do.
Yeah, it's a big thing, isn't it, Rich?
It's a long thing.
Am I booking off time from work for this?
I don't think it's quite that bad, but maybe book off time to play some fucking video games. That might be something you could do with, my man.
I mean, maybe.
You need that break. Right.
Maybe.
Hello to all our live viewers. We've got a few in at the moment.
Yes, we do.
I'm not currently monitoring the chat. Are you doing that, Chris? Because I'm not looking at what's going on.
I'm keeping an eye on it. Good evening, Charlie, and good evening, Charlie, and good evening, Charlie. And good evening, Fireworks. I don't know if you can hear them through my microphone.
I've got them here as well.
Yeah.
Fucking
same.
And good evening, always room for Luke. Always good to see you, bud. Always good to see you.
Hey, Luke, mate. Right. Let's move back.
You can probably hear me through my own microphone because Charlie's got hers on really loud.
Brilliant. So we're going to go back to the news now. We've talked about Red Dead a bit. We've done it a bit out of order because I wanted to tie it into those news stories a little bit. But let's get back to the main thrust of the news. We'll go through some of these quite quick, but some of them are going to be a bit more discussion-y. So Battlefield 5's Battle Royale mode it's not been delayed, but it won't be launching with the game in November. It will be coming out in spring, part of their content roadmap. This is, and in relation to that, EA have said, no microtransactions. Well, the microtransactions that are in Battlefield 5 will only be cosmetics. So as part of their roadmap, off the backlash of what happened to Battlefront 2, which was obviously a complete train wreck at launch, and they never really recovered from that, which is a shame because the core game is, I think, very
good game.
Yeah, very good game. But we're going to get back the Battle Royale mode will be coming later, which is interesting, obviously, because that's different to what Call of Duty has done. And many would argue that Call of Duty Black Ops' best mode is Blackout, which is its Battle Royale mode, which is meant to be very good, like a polished PUBG. But I'm a bit more excited about Battlefield. Their roadmap looks interesting.
Call of Duty needed its Battle Royale mode because it doesn't have a campaign or anything. So, I'm not that fussed about Battlefield delaying that. I'm more likely to buy into Battlefield because it does have the full package. And if a Battle Royale mode comes later on, great. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to this game. I don't really know what to think of it at the moment. It's had some weird trailers. Do you remember when we talked about what it showed at E3 and stuff with those story bits? It looked a bit strange what they were trying to tell. They're going to do some stuff from the Nazi perspective, which is brave. So I'm excited to see how they handle that, and the tone it takes and stuff like that.
It's probably not so brave nowadays, is it? That's probably what people want.
Oh, a little bit of politics there from Richard, talking about the right-wing nature of current governments that we are dealing with. But let's get back to the games. Yeah, I liked the way the stories were done in Battlefield 1. I really enjoyed that. The war stories, the sort of mini campaigns, the different narrative vignettes that we got from that. I thought that was a fun way of dealing with it rather than one big long single story. So that was cool. So I'm looking forward to that in the end, Battlefield 5. And the multiplayer is always so good.
It's out on Games with Gold this week as well.
We can talk about that now then. Yeah. Do you want to, as you've segued across to that? So the Xbox Games with Gold for November have been announced and are out currently. So we got Battlefield 1 and Assassin's Creed 1, which is both out now. And then we're going to have Race the Sun. No idea what that little indie game is.
Oh, my mate played that. A guy called The Fireblades. It's actually quite good fun for what it is. I think you literally race the sun. You have to keep going until the sun goes down and hope you survive.
It's got like sort of like a low poly visual to it.
Yeah,
quite nice.
Yeah, it's just let me grab a little. I mean, you can play it free online anyway, but just to have a little dig. But yeah, it's an interesting little game.
Okay,
interesting little
cool.
game.
And then Dante's Inferno after that.
Inferno, yeah, which I've already been playing. Well, I've got access to because it's on EA Access already. Much like Battlefield 1 is already actually on EA Access as well. But if you don't have that, they are going to be free this month. Games with Gold. Sadly, you've missed out if you didn't already jump on all the Battlefield 1 DLC being free on Xbox. That was available until about a week ago, I believe, all completely for free. So you've missed that if you haven't really jumped on that. But I really enjoyed Battlefield 1. It's got some really good DLC content in its maps as well. But very happy to see that they're dropping Season Pass. That there's going to only be cosmetic microtransactions, and that EA is at the forefront of doing this thing with multiplayer content where they're going to make it available to everyone. Which means you don't have segregation of your player base, which means you've got longer legs on your game and better support. So that's great that EA is able to do that. Obviously, we've still got this ridiculous sort of so expensive Call of Duty pass for all of its DLC that's still in existence for the new Blops game. But no, I will always prefer Battlefield, I think, in its modern iterations to the Call of Duties. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what that game is.
I'll tell you what, if we went back, what, 5-6 years and said EA is at the forefront of inclusivity and all the good stuff in gaming,
yeah,
we would all put a gun to our own heads and go, no, that is not what's happening.
It's weird. It's weird because in the last few podcasts, I've kind of been a vocal defender of some of the EA stuff.
They go in cycles, don't they? Because they had that period where they were sort of really pushing for new IP. They had Dead Space come out, they had Mirror's Edge, and they were really trying to forge something new and distinct beyond FIFA and all of that stuff.
I'm still waiting for FIFA to get a battle royale mode where you can launch into each other and shoot other players. Oh, that'd be good. That'd be good. Massive, do the 32-player thing. You've got 22 players on the pitch, all controlled by one gamer, and then you've got 10 snipers around the stadium, 5 for each team. That'd make football more interesting on it.
Throwing coins.
Yeah, throwing coins.
Oh, FIFA Ultimate Team. Okay. You have to pay extra for the coins.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I will say, check out Assassin's Creed as well in Games with Gold, because especially if you've got an X, because that's actually X enhanced as well. And related to Assassin's Creed, I will mention that Jade Raymond has moved on from EA Motive, where she's been situated until recently. She was kind of working with Amy Hennig with the Star Wars project. And it's weird. You guys remember Jade Raymond, yeah? That there was a lot of talk about her. She was one of the creative forces behind Assassin's Creed, and for a while there, she was the kind of the big shining star of women in games development. That was often trotted out as an example of inclusivity. But I don't think she's released a game since Assassin's Creed. Like,
yeah,
here, but I honestly don't think any of the projects she ever worked on ever made it to completion.
it's depressing, isn't it? I only know her as that woman who does video games, and that's a depressing state of affairs. But yeah, you're right. I don't really know what she's done. I don't know why she's left or what she's going to. Has that been reported?
According to a statement, there have been changes within the company.
Well, women go through changes every month, Chris. I think that's quite insensitive to bring that up in that way.
You know what? I'm just telling you what EA said. This wonderful, inclusive, forefront company have said. And yeah, because of the change, Jade Raymond has decided to leave Electronic Arts.
So we don't really know what she's doing. I mean, hopefully,
and then the usual stuff of she did some good stuff. We're gonna miss her. Bye, bitch. You know.
Well, I think
sounds particularly.
She helped
like a happy departure, does it? She's not left to do something else.
No.
Well, I mean, Amy Hennig obviously left as well after the cancellation of the Star Wars game. You know, there's obviously been a big shake-up with the Star Wars license at EA due to the failure of Battlefront 2, which performed so under expectations for them because of the controversy. Obviously, we've still got this one coming from Respawn, the guys behind Titanfall, which is rumored that we're actually going to see next year. Whatever that game is, rumored to be coming out next year at the moment. But look, Jade, I hope she moves on to a project, maybe go smaller, maybe go indie, I don't know, and gets a game out the door, because she was obviously a very important creative force at Ubisoft there behind Assassin's Creed. And then she's moved around a few times, but like nothing's ever come out. And that is the nature of game development. A lot of times these games will be getting made by the big developers and the big publishers, and for whatever reason they get folded. It doesn't even get announced. Things get closed. Resources get reshuffled. Yeah. It happens a lot more than you'd realize. And you know, there's probably the games that get released are actually probably like a small percentage of those that are actually worked on. You don't see more of it than actually you do see. So it's the nature of the business. Fingers crossed the next project for her works out better.
Yes.
Moving on to the next. Well, talking about people that get shuffled around and projects that work and what don't work. Facebook has reportedly cancelled its next generation Oculus Rift 2 headset for PC. It sounds like they're going to be focusing on the more budget end of VR rather than the high end kind of, you know, HTC Vives Pros and Oculus Rift 2s and things like that. And, you know, famously, obviously, Palmer Luckey parted ways with Oculus, I think, for the best, that one. He's definitely said some troubling things, that individual. But now we've lost another individual, Brendan Aribe, who he's moved on. He was the kind of the CEO of Oculus and sort of a big driving force behind it after Palmer left. What does this mean for VR, guys? I mean,
good move. PlayStation needs to get critical mass, doesn't it? It needs to be mass market, and you're not going to get that with top end high spec devices.
Yeah,
and I've got to say, the original Oculus Rift, I've not even got the development kit. I've just got the standard Oculus Rift. It's fine. It does. They didn't need to do it. They didn't need to do the console thing and bring another one out so soon, because the technology hasn't moved on that far. And the graphics are great. So I think it's a good. I think it's a good move. Yeah.
There's a rabbit free in the house.
Not my dog for once.
No, it's
I was
mine.
confused. It was different. It wasn't a Richard dog.
Yes.
It was a Chris dog.
No,
What's
it's
the name
mine.
of the loud dog?
I might just go and see what he's doing. So you two waffle about
What's his
VR. I'm back in a sec.
What's his name?
Bexley.
Bexley. Okay, I just wanted to know. We've got another big game dog.
Sorry.
Bexley and Frank. I like it. You know, we're adding to the menagerie, Rich.
Yeah.
Bexley and Frank. That could be a crime.
I'll just go and see what all that was about.
Bexley and Frank.
Like I said.
Yeah, no worries, man. No worries. So yeah, I mean, what does this mean for VR? I mean, I think interestingly, the PSVR seems to now be kind of at the forefront of moving the hardware and as a platform forward. It's got the best adoption. It's got the most often released games, which is both the ones that are most being talked about. We had just had that. What was that game with the weird little mascot character that just came out?
Astrobot Rescue Mission, was it?
That's very positive critical reception around it as
Very
well. I haven't
positive.
seen that yet. There's people talking about it as if it was like the Mario 64 for VR, almost like a proof of the abilities of the hardware. And in addition, I'll segue this into another news story, and we can talk about this, Rich, because I know you've played it as well. But right now, there is a time-limited Tetris Effect demo out for the PSVR on PlayStation. It's only going to be playable to Monday morning. So if you're hearing this now live or whatever, make sure you go out and get this downloaded if you've got a PSVR. And me and you, Richard, we've played it. What did you think?
I've played it today. It's a funny one, isn't it? Because it is just Tetris.
Yeah.
And I don't know, while playing it, I kind of forgot that I was in VR, because the game itself is no different, apart from a few mechanical changes. They've changed some of the rules of Tetris in a good way, actually. But the fundamental concept of Tetris it's exactly the same. You see the tunnel, shapes drop down, you make lines disappear when you've got a complete one, and that's kind of it. So the VR element comes in with the backgrounds. So there's lots of swirly colors and shapes and gorgeous looking different environments that are generated and swirl around you as you're playing Tetris. And you kind of forget that you're in there until something spectacular happens at the end of a level. Or
I think it's more than you. I think I like this more. Maybe I played it a bit more than you. How long did you play it for?
I went through the first level, which is like 3 separate Tetris rounds, and I did like it. I'm not saying I dislike it, but it's really weird, because for the first couple of years of VR, I suppose like anything, it's a proof of concept for the technology, isn't it? It goes out of its way. The software that we've seen so far has gone out of its way to say, look, this is why you should do VR, rather than just being an experience in itself. And Tetris feels like the technology has matured enough that it doesn't need to show off what it can do.
I wanted to mention that it's experiential, because it's not, yes, it's just Tetris, but I think the reason it's Tetris is they've very carefully chosen that, because it's a game you're very familiar with, and you can almost play it on autopilot. So that it becomes this combination of Tetris with incredible music. Oh man, the music is so good.
Which ties into the gameplay as well, doesn't it? Because it's by the Res guy.
The visuals all combine.
Yeah.
So the gameplay, the visuals, and the music, and then also very good use of the rumble in the controller as well, and everything comes together, and it became quite hypnotic. I found myself really pulled into it. And it was incredibly relaxing, but at the same time, I had those wow moments when a visual would kick off in combination with the audio. It's not quite as transportative as Res was. Like, you don't feel like you're in another world as much as Res Infinite. But at the same time, I think when you get into that place with Tetris, when you get into that rhythm with that, and it's so familiar and it's so ingrained in a gamer's mind, Tetris, that I think it's a really special experience. I think it's too fucking expensive. When you actually look to see how much the game is to buy, it's like 35 quid.
Oh, that is a lot.
Yeah, but because it's Tetris. But at the same time, it's an incredible experience, and I think I'll definitely be picking it up at some point. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really cool. I'm excited to see what some of the new other worlds are and stuff. Yeah, I did all the worlds that you could do, and I tried some of the endless mode as well. But yeah, really cool, really, really pretty. And it's just interesting to me that these are the experiences that are being talked about, and they're the ones on PSVR. So Astrobot and Tetris Effect, it's not games on Oculus, it's not games on Vive, it's the PSVR that's getting the standout software.
It's so cheap now. It's 200 quid with that Astrobot game bundled in with it, which is just incredible value.
And a lot cheaper than the Oculus. The Oculus is 400.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
I mean,
that's come down a lot, hasn't it? The Oculus was a lot more than that.
Yes,
I think it's people realizing that fidelity isn't everything in VR. I think it definitely adds to the experience, but you will still feel just as transported, even with that screen door effect that you get on the PSVR because of the lower resolution. And playing games like with the aim controller, when I'm playing Farpoint and stuff like that, or I'm playing Doom VFR, holding a gun fake gun really transports you to that place, regardless of how high the resolution is. And yeah, it's Res Infinite. Res Infinite's on everything, isn't it? But I'm just amazed. This is Tetris, and it's coming exclusively to PSVR, and it's Tetris Effect. Yeah. Check it out, guys. Go check that demo out. I highly, highly recommend it if you can. If you have a PSVR, check it out this weekend. Right, now on to the inevitable story of a studio being closed and people losing their jobs.
Another one.
Yeah, why not? We got to do one every episode, man. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a Bxb Bits and Bobs episode, So, Trion Worlds, which I have had some various bits of experience at. Weirdly, it's an Rift was an MMO they put out that I actually tried to get into around its launch, and I'd never really been into MMOs. But a friend of mine was like, "Come on, let's get in this together. Let's give it a go." And it was okay. They also put out the Defiance action MMO as well on consoles, and they've done a few other bits and bobs over the years. And basically, Rift was their big last attempt at an MMO IP of their own. Defiance is obviously a license that they really tried to get behind. And then they've done a few smaller projects since then, but they're effectively dead. They've been bought up by a German company, mobile publisher, Amico, we'll go with that. And they're cutting everybody but like 25 staff who are going to just continue to do the live support for their games that are going, but everybody else is out of work. But now, according to the report, as this now needs to be reported, I would think in every case of this, there has been a severance package. Unlike Telltale, because since Telltale's fiasco, it's an important thing to add in the article. Yes. The employees are actually going to get a decent payoff at the end of it. So something has been done in that regard. So good news on that front, but bad news on yet another studio going the way of the dodo. So I don't know if there's anything else you guys wanted to add, but
I don't know of them really. That Defiance game, is that the one that had the TV show?
Yes.
Yeah. That was quite popular, wasn't it?
They tried to re-release it as Defiance 2050 on the current platforms only like less than a year ago, with basically a vague little bit of updates to it, making it more free to play. They didn't really change it very much, and I guess that was their Hail Mary. That was their last attempt of securing some finances, and it didn't work. So that's the end of them. So good luck to everybody who worked there. Obviously, talented bunch. I hope you find gainful employment in wherever you end up. Yeah. Godspeed. Now talking about things. So we're just talking about something becoming extinct. So then we've got something coming back from the dead, which is the Intellivision. Like what? Like, do you guys remember the Intellivision? Like,
no one.
Nobody does. Richard.
Intellivision is one of those things that has always existed in the past. No one has lived alongside Intellivision.
even the year it came out, nobody had one, and they're like, "What is this? What is this device?" So the Intellivision is supposedly
not mine.
That's the other one. Intellivision supposedly has a new console joining us in 2020, which is just far enough along to make you think, is it really gonna come out? Or is it going to be vaporware, much like the Phantom console was? Do you remember the Phantom, Chris?
No.
It sounded great. It was around the 360 generation. All the bells and whistles sound like an amazing piece of hardware. Did it come out? Fuck no, did it come out? So the Amico Intellivision is going to have all kinds of amazing features. It's going to be quite cheap. It's going to have games for all ages. So there's going to be no adult or teen rated games on this platform at all. The quote is amazing. The quote that came from these guys about this is, "We are creating a console that parents want to buy, not that they were asked to buy." So it's like the console your mum and dad will buy you that they've been told is safe, but really you're never going to use because it's a piece of shit.
It's like the CDI, so it's all edutainment.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
Who are you trying to sell this to? I mean, like, so who generates the sales, right? So 20, 30-something-year-old guys and girls now, they're not going to buy it. Kids aren't going to ask for it. So it's the 40-something-year-old parents that are scared of video games that are going to buy this for their kids as a safe thing for them to play on.
Do those people still exist? Because when I was a kid, there was always that kid at school, wasn't there, that got a BBC Acorn because it's what you had in school, and it must have been all right. It must have been safe. But people aren't like that now, are they? There aren't 40-year-olds now. There aren't people my age that are scared of video games.
So
yeah, there are. Yeah, there are.
I guess there still must be, but it's a lot less, isn't it? It's a lot less than there was.
Yeah.
Games are going to be super cheap, $2.99 to $7.99. This is all in US dollars. So it's going to be that's not much at all. And obviously they're going to re-release and remaster lots of their classic back titles. That Astro Smash and Shark. These other Intellivision hits like Snafu and Utopia. I mean, you know these guys, classics. Bowling, Triple Action. I mean,
yeah, we're going back to the era of games. We're going back to the era of games where sports games were just named after the sport they were simulating. So you've got baseball, skiing, boxing, bowling, horse racing, auto racing.
B-17 Bomber, that famous sport where you drop bombs on people's heads. I love that one. But then there are some Atari titles here that I do actually recognize, like Missile Command and Yar's Revenge and Breakout. The games that you actually played because you didn't have an Intellivision. You had a fucking Atari. Yeah. Because why would you have an Intellivision? Also, you guys should just if you've watched the video. By the way, have either of you watched the launch video? Richard, you're muted. I don't know if you know that. If you're trying to speak to me,
I'm watching it as we speak.
The console looks so fucking weird. The controllers have got little screens in them. It's got like a weird, like radial dial on it. I don't.
It reminds me of. Have you seen that film Existence?
Yeah.
And it's got that sort of living organ stroke games console. It looks kind of like that.
Sure. It's been a long time since I saw that film, but yeah, okay, I'll take your word for that. The video goes on and on and on, and then it has like a profile bit about all the people working on it, as if you should know who they are. I maybe recognize 2 of the names from the long ass list, and it's like it's such a strange thing, and it's so far away, and you're like, is this? Surely they've made this announcement. They're going to get all this feedback, like what we're saying, and they'll be like, oh, you know what, guys, this was not a good idea. Maybe we should just not bother, because who's gonna buy it? They must have done market research in like Christian right-wing only towns. What? Who's gonna go? Yeah, boy, I really want something for little Jimmy that I know he's gonna be safe to play. But then actually, the right wingers, they're the ones with all the guns. So they're probably letting little Jimmy play Call of Duty from like age 6 onwards, aren't they? So forcing. Yeah, it's training, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. But it's just really curious and weird, and Intellivision's back, baby.
It's very odd. It's even more odd than that Atari one are they still doing the Atari one?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that might be out.
Oh, why is there a speaker and a microphone in the controllers?
Oh, and they've got motion sensing like the Wii controllers as well.
Although I like the fact that you can download the controller to your phone. I like that. That's a good.
Yeah,
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not without some merit. It's just like, who's it for?
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to things that there is a market.
Got achievements on it. I'm buying one.
Oh yeah, of course you will. only if they're Microsoft achievements, though. Otherwise, what's the point? You won't be able to get you 250 otherwise. So onto things that people do want. Microsoft has said that Xbox Game Pass is going to come to PC in a proper full capacity. So, probably going to be like the Origin Access sort of system where you're going to pay X amount and you're going to have a proper library of 100, 200 games on PC. I imagine at this point, they're just making the deals. It seems like an obvious thing to be done. They're waiting until they've got a large enough library to launch with. I suspect we'll see it early next year.
They're not waiting because it's already out. It's a really weird announcement, this, because Game Pass is already on PC.
We were discussing this before. We discussed this stuff, isn't it? Well, it's not so much that we were discussing this off air. It's also only Play Anywhere games. There are some Xbox games that are first party that I can't touch.
You're only going to get like half a dozen games out of that on PC, basically, by having Game Pass at the moment. But this is going to be a proper library, I think.
I can get Sea of Thieves, but I need Xbox Live Gold as well, which is annoying.
Oh wow!
But yeah,
coming.
I'm happy with that.
That will be here, I imagine, quite quick.
Yeah, so I'm happy with that. I'm already paying $7.99 a month for that, so that's a good decision, Microsoft. Well done.
Well done, Microsoft.
Well done indeed.
Good stuff. PlayStation Classic has announced its 20 games, its full lineup of games on the list. Richard, have you got a pre-order in for this? I can't remember if you said you were going to get
No, but I did consider it, seeing the list. It's a decent list.
It'll make a great beer, Matt, in 2 years' time.
Down the list in alphabetical order, I have a pre-order in for this. I'll mention that now. But Battle Arena Toshiden, Call Borders 2, Destruction Derby, Final Fantasy 7, Grand Theft Auto, Intelligent Cube, Jumping Flash, Metal Gear Solid, Mr. Driller, Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, Raymond, Resident Evil Director's Cut, Revelations Persona, which is a weird one to have, Ridge Racer Type 4, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, Siphon Filter, Tekken 3, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, another strange one, Twisted Metal, and Wild Arms. It's a pretty good list, but I think some very strange omissions.
It's an eclectic list, I'll give you that.
Where's Wipeout? Where's Gran Turismo? Where's where's any of the character 3D action platformers such as Crash or Spyro?
DLC and Season Pass.
There's some strange ones missing because the PlayStation library is so good. Like there are so many incredible classics. Also things like Destruction Derby, but not Destruction Derby 2, which is the vastly superior sequel.
Yeah.
You don't need Destruction Derby in there when you could have had Destruction Derby 2. Do you know what I mean? It's like
that is a bullshit argument. This is all about nostalgia, isn't it? And Destruction Derby is the first thing a lot of people saw on PlayStation.
But the second game
be the first one,
not the first one.
The first one was what you sort of are familiar with if you're looking at it from a nostalgic point of view. And I didn't think the second game was actually very good.
Well, you were alone.
Did you like it,
Richard? Second game's way better than the first one.
No way.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed Police isn't on there, but it wouldn't have been because it wasn't a classic. But I really liked that game.
Odd to see GTA, the first top-down GTA, which I will always think of as a PC game on the PlayStation. That's a strange one for me.
Police couldn't be on it anyway because that was sort of launched alongside the DualShock, wasn't it? It needs analog sticks, which this doesn't have.
There's some strange. Yes, that's a very good point that the controllers don't have the analog. So I'm guessing more than anything to keep the cost down because there's some proper 3D orientated games on here, which are going to be very strange with only the D-pad.
Metal Gear.
God, yes, good point.
Metal Gear definitely will be strange. Yeah, very, very, very strange. Resident Evil won't be great either. But I know I tank controls. I guess that'd be all right. Yeah. But yeah, so that's the lineup. It's okay. It's okay. I'll probably keep my pre-order in for that just because I want to have that sitting next to my SNES Mini on my shelf, not even connected to my TV.
I like that you admit it is just to sit there because you're not going to play it, are you?
Probably not.
I suppose if you got an Elgato card, you could do retro views.
I suppose, but probably won't. But I suppose I could.
A review in hindsight when it's always 2020.
We'll move on because I want to get us to talk about games. We're still going through the news here. So, did you guys watch that little video of Henry Cavill as Geralt from The Witcher?
No, was that in the news? Where's that?
Yes, it is.
Richard. It's the bit that says let's look at Henry Cavill as Geralt.
Oh, it's page 2. That's fine. we never have 2 pages. What's going on?
There's a lot of news happened in the last 2 weeks because no games came out because they were all scared of Red Dead. However, plenty of news did instead. But basically, it's. Do you know what it was for me, Chris? Watching this, I'm a big Witcher fan. Are you, Chris?
I've never really played it. Oh, I couldn't get on with the control system of the first one, and I
don't like that anymore. Don't.
I'm just telling you that I couldn't get on with the control.
Chris. You should play Witcher 3. It's amazing. However, the weird thing about this, no beard. Looks super weird without a beard to me.
I think it's an odd to just literally just have him walk up, down a tiny bit of potion, and then walk off again.
It's a makeup test, isn't it? It's a costume test.
Yeah, but why release that? Why not just release a picture? You don't need to have Henry Cavill standing there for. I think it's a full 4 seconds where he literally does nothing apart from go.
Look at my incredible jaw that you.
And then he turns slightly further and goes.
It is.
It's an odd one. It's an odd thing to release. I mean, he looks good. He does look good. It looks right.
Just no beard. He needs a beard.
Looks right. He's
got stubble. Maybe he'll grow a beard.
Well, the thing that's interesting with the casting on all of this is that it's all quite a lot younger than what we have in Witcher 3, the characters. So I think they are skewing everything a bit earlier in the storyline. So that seems to be what they're doing.
Now, my question for this is the original writer of The Witcher getting anything from this?
I think so. I think this is connected with the books.
I say, because if not, there's going to be an awful lot of news stories coming out very, very soon about a very complicated lawsuit.
I think it is. I think it is connected to him. I think. I might be wrong.
I should hope so.
Talking about little weird, crazy, weird videos. Did you guys watch the sort of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate single player trailer in which
I've not watched any Smash Brothers since the last Nintendo Direct when they gave us 24 hours of footage.
Richard, all the characters get Infinity Ward and turned to dust and murdered by some kind of cosmic power, except Kirby. Literally every fucking Nintendo character you ever loved is killed in this trailer. Why? It is the weirdest, darkest shit I have seen come from Nintendo in quite a while. What's
the thinking behind this then? Is Thanos in Smash Brothers?
It's not actually Thanos, but they do get dusted, but like by some kind of cosmic power, and I don't really know why. I was very bemused by the whole thing. It was just really strange, and that's why I put it in the news stories, because it was like, Did you watch it, Chris?
I'm just explaining in the YouTube comments section that I have never cared about a Super Smash Brothers game, and I never will care about a Super.
I'm with you. I'm exactly the same. However, I watched this trailer just to watch every Nintendo character be killed.
I watched Racist Mario to have that happen, and that's much better. if you haven't seen that, you can YouTube it yourselves. No, the short answer is I didn't watch it.
Okay, but it's really strange, and I get the impression the story beat is going to be that they're all going to get like captured by this force, and then evil duplicated, and there'll be the things that you're fighting in the single player mode of Smash Brothers, like the evil versions of all these characters that have been killed horribly in front.
What do they do with Bowser then? Because unless he's the one capturing them, are we going to get a nice Bowser?
He'll be extra evil. Obviously.
This is Bowser with the one last nice gene taken out.
I can tell Richard's watching it right now.
I'm watching it now. Well, Bowser won't be evil, will he? It'd be like when Hordak entered the He-Man universe and Skeletor was a goodie for an episode.
Wow, that's a cut that I do not get at all, but thank you for that. That was weird and obscure.
Sorry, I forget. Not everyone was around in the 80s.
No, I didn't
watching He-Man cartoons.
Growing up. Right, quick couple of last two news stories. Amazingly, still doing news. The last two news stories have just come out of BlizzCon that happened at the major announcement at the start of the show yesterday. Warcraft 3 is getting a fancy pants lovely remaster, which is easily my favorite Warcraft game, which I played a shit ton of on PC. So I'm actually quite excited about a new Warcraft 3 remaster. That's pretty cool. I mean, maybe I played more Warcraft 2, actually, now I think about it. I might have played more 2. But 3 is very, very good. And
couldn't give a shit.
Yeah, you're not an RTS gamer. When I was playing RTSs, you were playing character platformers. Yeah. That's the thing where we diverge in our tastes. Like, I was playing RTS games on PC, and you were jumping up and down as Mario. You know, I feel like I was developing my brain a little bit better, Rich, but that's fine. If we
go back to my Halloween review, that's probably true.
So Warcraft 3, and it reminded me of the weirdness that is the Duncan Jones Warcraft movie, because that movie is based on the lore from the first Warcraft game, not World of Warcraft, which I think is why a lot of people didn't like it. But this gives you a chance to go back and actually learn some of the older lore before the MMO came out and then destroyed all of its own popularity with this terrible Battle of Azeroth expansion, from what I've heard. more people giving up on their subs than ever before on World of Warcraft at the moment. But yeah, Warcraft 3. Do you care, Chris? You probably don't care either. But I wanted to mention it.
I like RTSs, and I used to play a lot of WoW back in the day. But then I tried to install it about 4 years ago because I thought just want to play a bit, and it froze on the 99% marker for about 48 hours. So at which point I said, "Fuck you, Blizzard! I am done." So, but I think it's nice to see these older games sometimes getting remastered because actually, I often prefer older games to newer games.
Okay. The other news out of BlizzCon, which made the internet explode in fury and hate, is that a new Diablo game is coming, and it's Diablo Immortal on your phone. And yeah, you can imagine PC gamers being the inclusive, forgiving lot they are. We're super happy to hear that a Diablo game was going to be exclusive to phones, and that they'd have to play it on that instead of their PC. You know, obviously that went down really well. No, it did not. I am being facetious. They erupted in a storm of vitriol, as you'd expect. So this is a game set between the storylines of Diablo 2 and 3. Yes, Diablo supposedly has a storyline, though. I can tell you what it is. And I've played all of those games. But yeah, it looks like a fairly decent action RPG on phone. To be honest, the visuals look just like Diablo, like on PC.
They look pretty good, I have to say.
Looks great. I mean, but I don't game on my phone, so I can kind of see why people are pissed about that. Like, I would much rather play on PC or console.
I think like, again, I'm not a massive Diablo player. I've played it a couple of times, and it's good.
Diablo's excellent, mate. Diablo is probably my favorite thing to come out of Blizzard.
But really. I think for anyone who is desperately sat there waiting for, it's like if because there's that Elder Scrolls phone game that's coming out, isn't it? The Red Guard, yeah, Blades, whatever it is. And it's like, instead of I will accept that because they've said we're doing Elder Scrolls 6. If the E3 we've got a new Elder Scrolls game, it's for your phone, I'd have been pissed. I'm not gonna lie. I think. And
we have to have BlizzCon in a room full of die-hard PC gamers.
Yeah.
Ooh.
They're not picking their markets there, are they?
That was how to shoot yourself with both feet at once.
Yeah, Blizzard known for their customer satisfaction, though, and customer service. Let's be fair here.
They do seem to be making quite a few weird decisions.
Yeah,
not maybe the best. But that brings us to the end of the news. So much went on in the last 2 weeks, guys. It's like we should almost think about doing this weekly. Who's up for that? Who wants to do weekly? Let's do weekly. No, nobody wants to do weekly. Right. That's fine. So games we've been playing, games we've played for review. I will quickly talk about Project Warlock because at this point it was basically 2 weeks ago that I did the review. But it's really good fun. It's really, really good, guys. I think I told you guys a little bit about it.
Yes, I think you did. Yeah.
So this is an old school first-person shooter that's currently exclusive to GOG.com. Very much in the style of Doom and Wolfenstein 3D. So it's got that pixel art look to it. I know, Chris, you asked me if it was all chiptune music. It isn't, but it has a kind of retro style to it. It incorporates chiptunes. If you watch my trailer, that becomes a lot more obvious. I actually really like the music in this game. The action is frenetic. There's some RPG elements in there about upgrading skills and upgrading your guns and upgrading your spells. There's some roguelite elements, but really it's not really roguelite. It's just you die in a level, you have to do the thing again, which is basically how games all used to be at one point. But yeah, it's got a great look to it. It's very customizable look. You can put all kinds of different filters on the visuals. It's got this really nice particle effect and lighting systems that make the game feel modern at the same time as feeling retro. And the action is very familiar to you if you've played a lot of Doom or Wolfenstein like I have. And yeah, as a throwback, it's wonderfully well made. It's one young guy, basically, like 19, 20-year-old dude making a game referencing stuff that came out when he would have been like 4 years old. So he probably didn't even play them at the time, which just makes me feel infinitely old, especially as he's been able to construct such a damn good experience mimicking them. So yeah, I think it's definitely worth checking out if you're looking for a sort of a retro shooter on PC. Really, really good fun. Check out my review for more. I think, to be honest, though, you watch 30 seconds of my review and you're going to know immediately if this is for you or not. Like, I don't need to spend a lot of time talking about it. It's just it does what it does very well. It doesn't really do anything new. The new elements are bringing in those modern gameplay elements to that classic formula just to make it feel a bit fresh. But however, it is very much a classic shooter. Though you can look up and down, which you couldn't do in Doom, which is nice. But I will say, actually, you should play Brutal Doom. If you're looking to play some Doom, get the Brutal Doom mod on.
Yes, yes.
So good.
Yes, everything about that, yes.
So fucking good. I love that mod so much.
Yes.
But yeah, that's Project Warlock. Richard, you just started reviewing The Walking Vegetables. Any quick impressions you wanted to give?
I have. Walking Vegetables is on Switch. I think it's been on other things a while back, as the Switches want to do. It's releasing old games as new. And The Walking Vegetables is sort of a top-down twin-stick shooter. It has roguelike elements and randomized levels. So essentially you start with a infinite ammo pistol and you shoot broccoli and cabbages and grapes and other assorted fruits. It's not just veg. So far more value than is implied by the title.
Is kale in there? I'd like to shoot kale.
I don't think I've seen any kale yet, but I've only got a couple of levels in. So my first go through, you're presented with quite a large map, which is connected by exits on the four sides, and you have to go through and shoot a load of broccolis or whatever they are, and collect money off them. You can spend that on new weapons or to regenerate your health in the shop. You know, the usual stuff like that. And then you'll confront a boss. And the boss is a giant broccoli for the first one. And yeah, so the idea is you kind of just build up your stats. So you won't do very well first time through.
What are you?
What are you?
Yeah, what are you? You're fighting vegetables. You're a man.
Yeah, a man with a gun.
What's the reason there are evil vegetables?
I don't know.
You're a man with a gun fighting vegetables.
Yeah. I don't think it's not really explained.
Is it veg instead of zombies, basically?
Well, I guess so, yeah.
No, I didn't expect it to be explained. This doesn't sound like a story-heavy game. I'm not gonna lie.
You could have had like 4 panels of like comic booking like style narrative at the top, which is about there was a comet. It turned people into vegetables.
Would that have made it more plausible?
No.
That would compel me to play the game more.
I don't think it needs a story. It's a silly idea, and you know, it just runs with what it does. It's fine. So yeah, it's a funny one because we've talked a bit about Dead Cells, haven't we, and how that really does a great job with the roguelike structure because it has a really solid gameplay set underneath it. The mechanics are just exemplary in Dead Cells. This doesn't really have that. It feels like it's built on the longevity that's implied by a roguelike because you can keep going and keep going, have another try, and then you'll do slightly better and you'll get an extra upgrade, whatever. But the core gameplay itself is not that enthralling. So far, it's been walking backwards with slowly approaching vegetables, converging on your position. Hopefully, you will shoot them enough times to kill them before they reach you. If not, then you just walk back a bit more. And that's kind of the game.
I mean, over describing at this point, like there's not really anything else to say, is there?
No.
Yeah, you put some vegetables full of lead.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I'm not really. It's quite addictive in its own way, but you know that's just because it's nice to unlock extra abilities, isn't it? But you know that's just the template of roguelikes. It's not to do with this game in particular. I don't think it's doing anything that excites me. It's visually, it's a bit like Retro City Rampage. It's got that sort of vibe to it. But in gameplay, I suppose something like Binding of Isaac, you know, where you're just going through different screens, shooting whatever appears, and then hopefully you'll get a good run of it. it's just a time. It's something to pass the time, really. I don't think it's one that you should go out and seek out necessarily, but it's just sort of fine.
Sort of fine. Sort of.
Mm.
If it just appears on your hard drive, don't panic, but don't put it there.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it.
So, Chris, I think you touched on Hyperparasite a little bit last time as well. Is that right?
Yeah. There's not an awful lot else to add to it. It's a good fun game.
The thing worth mentioning is it's in the last few days of its Kickstarter. Right now. If you like the look of Chris's review, if, you want to play more and you want to see more from them, maybe go and help them out. Like, that is possible. There is links in the review on the website that I put there. But it's what is it like a? It's a bit like what Richard was just talking about in many ways.
Yeah, it's a top-down arcade homage, and yeah, it's fun. That's the one thing I will say about it. It's fun. It never feels not fun. Even if there's a little bit of grind to it, you always feel like. I made the point in my review that it's a lot of the things that it asks you to do are quite similar to another game I reviewed. But whereas Hyperparasite actually did it a lot better, it's a lot more balanced, and you never felt like you were in a grind, even though you're in a grind. But yeah, it's a good game. But I think part of that is because of the arcadey style to it, and the fact that playing any old arcade game or any of the old SNES games or any early game, you know that you're going to die a lot. You know that you are. That's kind of the point of them. So yeah, it's good fun. Good fun, quirky idea, pulls it off well.
So, from a game that never feels not fun, I think it's time to dive into a game we can all
the best.
that maybe sometimes you could describe as not fun, but on balance, I still had a really good time with it. Now, I am very curious as to where you guys are up to in Call of Cthulhu.
Yes. You want to go first, Rich?
Well,
I've one question.
Tentative steps. I don't want to do any spoilers. I'm at a police station.
You might be. Okay. You might be. Yeah, you're past. You got past the bookshop.
Yes.
And you're both further on than I am.
How did you find the puzzle in the bookshop without spoilers? And did you look up the solution?
No, I didn't. Is that the one in your review? You said you had trouble with the puzzles.
I struggled with that one in particular, the combination of that safe, yes.
All right. No, I got through that fairly easily. It chucks a load of clues.
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh.
It chucks a load of clues at you. On the bookshelf, there is a solution for how to do the puzzle.
The bookshelf?
Yeah. Right next to the safe.
I'm not sure that's a spoiler, given that he's in a bookshop. There's probably quite a lot of bookshelves.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So next to the safe, there's a document in there hidden behind some books that gives you some clues about how to do it.
I may have missed that.
I mean, but I got there.
I did
get there in the end. Okay.
I did get there in the end. Okay, so I did a review of Call of Cthulhu. That's up on the website. And basically, okay, so talk about where I am at with Call of Cthulhu. I am deep in the Lovecraft mythos right now. I am 3/4 of the way through the Necronomicon for the first time. I absolutely adore this man's literature and what this game is based upon. Yes, there are some, how should we say it, problematic issues with maybe the time in which, the time period in which some of this stuff was written, and some maybe ideas about other races that could be considered dated and highly offensive by today's standards. But I'm also a fan of things like 50s sci-fi. There are issues with racism and gender politics in all classic literature of that nature. It comes up a lot because guess what? Brits were kind of assholes for a really long time. And it's reflected in the fiction we have written. Richard's making a smile there about, we still are, which isn't wrong. But yes, beyond that, the writing, the worlds he creates, the universe he creates are absolutely amazing. And one of the things I loved about Call of Cthulhu is it feels like a Lovecraftian game. The setting, the writing, the dialogue, the voice acting. For example, people have been quite critical of the voice acting in this game, and I'm curious to see what you guys think. I really liked it. I especially really liked Edward Pierce's, the main character's voice acting. I thought it was a little OTT, a little bit like on the nose and derivative, but exactly what you want from a Call of Cthulhu game. Like, he's got that pathos and that deep resonant tone that I wish I could sound like. You know, like he's just fantastic. Really, really good. I really like the art style. I really like the setting. I really liked a lot of the character stuff. Yeah, where the game falls down is with the gameplay. That when the game is asking you to do more than investigate and more than just poke around, when it's asking you to do action or it's asking you to do puzzles, that's where the game isn't that much fun. And it's a shame, because I would have just happily played a walking simulator set in this universe that just took me through a narrative with some investigation elements, a bit like LA Noire, which I was really enjoying, all of the dialogue stuff, you know, all the different skills and things like that. But yeah, what did you guys think?
I had a bit of a different take to you. I think you were a bit generous in your review, talking about the production values, because it is definitely sort of AA standard. Yeah. If that, it is definitely sort of done on a shoestring. You can tell from the cutscenes. It's been a long time since I've seen a video game where all of the cutscenes are in video form rather than in engine. That's sort of gone out of vogue now.
Yeah.
And that sort of took me back and thought, oh, that's a bit of a throwback. And it especially on a 4K TV, it just looks a bit rough. The game itself doesn't look fantastic. I mean, it carries off its look fine. It's not bad looking, but you know, it's hardly top drawer, is it?
No, and I don't think I ever said that. I mean, it's more what carries it is the vibe. It is the. It's not the. You look at the individual character models, which are a little bit reminiscent of Dishonored or something like that sort of style, that slightly over the top character design, which is sort of accentuating maybe uncomfortable elements of a person's physical appearance.
Upside down triangles with big hands.
Yes,
that's what that style of development looks like. They're broader at the top, thinner in the middle, and they have massive hands for their body size.
I never really thought of it that way, but yeah, no, that's what this looks like to a degree anyway. Maybe not as much as Dishonored, but it's on that road. But yeah, it's the lighting, it's the general feeling of the world rather than any individual character model or any individual texture. I suppose it's not like I wasn't trying to. Yeah, that's why this, you know. One of the reasons why this game to me is a good game. It's a 3-star because I think it's ambitious and I really like the story and stuff. But yeah, there's definitely problems. So how did you feel about the gameplay?
There's bits of it that I still feel are jarring. So there's a scene where you're trying to evade a monster. I won't go into it any more than that. But
is it the monster with the painting?
Yes.
Yeah, that's literally where I am. So
okay, so quite a lot of that involves peeking around corners to see where he is.
Yeah.
When you're peeking, you cannot move, which I found incredible. So you can creep around, you can crouch down and creep around with enough finesse that you don't feel like you're going too quickly for what the game demands of you. That's fine. But if you want to sort of peek around a corner, there's just this weird little dance you have to do where you've got to kind of peek, come back to where you were, edge forward a little bit, move to the side a little bit, peek again. You can't just naturally have a look. So it just threw me out of the environment entirely at that point, trying to negotiate those peeking controls.
That was like the second red flag for me. The first red flag was, I'll ask Chris about this, was the stealth section in the section prior to what we're describing, and that was the moment where I was like, "Oh, this isn't that much fun." I get it. I know what I've got to kind of do.
Yeah.
However, it was kind of clumsily implemented throughout. How did you find that, Chris? Because if you've just done that, would be
fun. I mean. Because I was playing it for Let's Play rather than for review, so I was perhaps being a little less critically minded about it.
Sure, yeah. And please go over to the Humble Gamers channel to check out his Let's Plays of Call of Cthulhu, because it's definitely the time of year to be looking at Halloween.
Oh yes, definitely.
Okay? Which is what helped me actually enjoy this. I think it's the right time of year to be playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure you head over there. The links are all over the website.
Oh.
So yes, carry on.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, it was the sad thing was it was what I expected it to do. It was what I expected it to do. I knew at some point there would be a stealth section. I didn't think it would be necessarily in that setting, and for that reason, obviously I'm less far on in the game than you guys are. But what I got the impression that the person that when they were making this game for the first half of development, they were all playing LA Noire and reading H.P. Lovecraft and thought this would be such a good way of doing this, and then someone started playing The Evil Within. Which is not a bad game, but I just think it's got. I wanted to carry on investigating, and I feel like that was taken away too quickly, too early, and too suddenly.
Doesn't last very long though. It feels like every level it throws at you, it might do something a little bit different, but it doesn't last for long. So if you don't like it, you quickly move on to something else.
No, because I was amazed that the first chapter was literally just that little bit at the start. It was literally just that.
You say it doesn't last very long, Richard, but there is I don't know, maybe your history with point and click adventure games is helping you here, because I don't think the game actually does a great job of explaining what it wants from you a lot of times. So that stealth section, I worked it out by wandering around until I worked out what I had to do, but it definitely leaves you to your own device when it comes to actually working out these solutions, which is jarring, especially at that point in the game. And it's probably the point where a lot of people are going to bounce off, because up to that point it's been a very funneled narrative experience, and then all of a sudden it goes, here's a location, you have to get out of here. Work it out.
It's not that hard though. I mean, the real gripe I have with stealth games is where it feels like if you fuck up, you've kind of got to start again.
You can just run away.
Feel like I had to do that. It was,
it was
forgiving enough that you could kind of.
We were complaining about the peeking element in the section after that, and with the painting. I don't want to spoil anything. I never peeked once. I brute forced that section by running around in a circle with the monster chasing me.
Well, that's what I did in the end.
Yeah, I never actually tried to peek because it didn't work. Like, you'd run and try and hide, it would pull you out of the hiding area. It was just like, well, there's no point in trying to use this. I'm just going to run around, grab a thing, run back, run around, grab a thing, run back. Like, and that's all I did. And that felt really clumsy, which is such a shame. That could have been a super atmospheric moment. Like, that's probably the most overtly scary part of that game. And it, because you have to brute force it in that way, trial and error, replay it 10 times, or whatever to get it right, the horror is completely destroyed. Like, there's nothing scary about it by the time you're finished, which is such a shame. And then it throws that fucking combination puzzle at you, like the next thing it does, and I fucking did my head in with that. So yeah, I wish I'd spotted the thing you've told me about. Chris will find it really easy now, motherfucker.
Another thing,
I want him to get stuck on that in the Let's Play. It'd be really funny.
Well, I still might do, because I'll probably forget. Or look on the wrong bookcase. Just one thing, another thing I want to point out is because actually the first bit of the gameplay in this, it's not the tightest I've ever seen. It's definitely not tight as a drum, but it's not awful. But in that segment before the monster segment, there is an optional choice that you can have. I don't know if you guys found it by going to talk to one of the other people who reside in this area. Did you find that option?
Yes,
I think so.
Did it work for you? Because it didn't work for me.
The distraction thing.
Yeah. He didn't do anything. He said go and hide, and I was like, right, okay, I'll go and hide, and nothing, nada, zip.
Well, there's in that section, there's a couple of different ways that you can distract people. I did that one as well as other things, so I don't know how effective he was.
I'll say I did other things as well. I definitely did other things, and they definitely worked. But
I think
I
got an achievement for it, though.
Of course, of course. How many points was it?
15.
Just to warn you, Chris, that's not the only stealth section.
Oh, I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's not.
There's even a really unfortunate shooting section. That
I've seen, because when I got
Wow.
Yeah, when I got as far as I did, I took the bullet and thought, right, I'll first of all I watched your review, and then I may have clicked on the review of another outlet.
Traitor.
I know, right?
I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
But yeah, and I found out that there is a gun.
Yeah. What is this? Call of Cthulhu?
Ooh.
I don't regret. I don't regret playing it. I think it's one of those things where it's like sometimes games you could almost consider them bad. There's certainly bad elements to this game, but I think for the majority of it, I enjoyed it. I just wished it had been that investigation game throughout. Like it didn't need it's like at some point they took it to the publisher and the publisher gave it back to them, or their producer gave it back to them and went, no man, we need more game in this game, it needs to have like proper gamey bits, like that Outlast game, and that it needs to have gamey stuff in this game. It can't just be story. It's like, have you read any Lovecraft? It's not really about the action, it's more about like the just unknowable terror. Have you guys read any Lovecraft?
Yeah, I've read a bit of the Necronomicon.
Yeah, it's Chris, you'd love it, mate. You really should read something.
I shall find it.
You would adore it. But it's I'd like more games from the Lovecraft oeuvre. There's so many to choose from.
The great thing about Lovecraft is that notion that the texts are sort of arcane and forbidden, and if you read them, you're forever cursed. I love that idea that if you're reading it, then
my favorite thing about it is how it's written. Is it could all be true.
Yeah,
They might have changed some of the names. You might have changed some of the character names, to hide the identities. But it might have all actually fucking happened because it's long enough ago that you're like, well, maybe. Like it
brings you into that experience, though, doesn't it? Like saying if you're even reading this, then it might happen to you.
But it's genuinely chilling. Like they're proper chilling, like and creepy. They're not scary, but they're like, fuck. Okay, all right, that's a dark thing now. I know, but yeah, it's a cool game, and I think it's the right time of year to play it. It's the wrong price point. I'm just putting that out there. It's way too expensive. This game should be another tenner off, or £15 off, and it will be. It will be very quickly. But which is slightly unfortunate. But it's something Focus Home do. Focus Home Interactive. They publish their AA games at quite high price points. So yeah, I guess they must be doing all right out of it. But I think wait for a reduction in price, but definitely enjoyable.
Or play Far Harbor in the meantime.
Far Harbor?
Yes, the Fallout DLC.
Oh, yes, you mentioned it off camera, show, weren't you? How reminiscent it was.
Yeah, I was like, I know exactly where I am. It's set in Boston, and I'm on an island with mysterious people doing an investigation.
Mm-hmm. They definitely read some Lovecraft.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
Oh boy, did they for that? Yes. I want to touch on another quick scary game that I've been playing because people have been raving about this game for ages. Chris, you may have come across it on PC. It's been around a really long time, and I'm playing it purely for the strength, supposedly, of its fantastic narrative, which is Soma.
Mate.
Yeah. I knew it. Finally, play a game that Chris knew. I knew that.
I haven't just come across it. I've got a full playlist on my channel.
Sweet.
I did it for the channel.
So make sure you check out Humble Gamer's playthrough of Soma. Hopefully he's going to tell me that I'm not wrong to be playing it right now.
No, so definitely not.
Halloween. It's on the sale on Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
I picked it up cheap.
Mm-hmm.
I already had it on PlayStation, but I was like, I'm going to more likely play this on Xbox. So I just bought it. And today I sat down, I put about 3 hours into it this morning. And I'm playing it on its narrative mode, in which the monsters can't kill you. Yep. Because I want to just experience the story. Something that we patched in later, I believe, to the game. And it seems like a really cool idea. And it's interesting because it's tying into that thing we've discussed quite a lot on the podcast recently, which is transhumanism, the idea of human consciousness being taken out of a human entity and what it means to be human. And so far, the characters are great. The story is awesome. The setting is incredibly off-putting and creepy, underwater, sci-fi, post-apocalyptic. Machines being taken over by human consciousness, but there's something else is going on here. I don't know what's going on. It's creepy and weird and interesting, and it plays very interestingly. And if you turn off the die from enemies option. Basically, you can just explore and find all the little narrative bits and stuff, and it's really, really good. Chris, is there anything you wanted to add without any spoilers? Because I'm really enjoying it so far.
Without any spoilers, I will say it's got that feeling of the thing that freaked me out more about, because I didn't find the game itself, even with no enemies on it, the game itself wasn't particularly jump scary. There were a couple of moments, but it's not built like that.
Right.
The thing that I found most scary is, again, that this could happen, and could happen very soon. This kind of scenario, and the only thing I will say to you is, don't turn it when you get to the inevitable finish of the game. Don't turn it off. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, interesting.
Don't turn it off.
Oh, I'm super excited now. This is it's curious. I don't want to say anything. Richard, you should play it. You would dig it, I think, mate. And the whole setup at the beginning of the game is like, whoa, this is scary about, like you said, the plausibility of this, where we are getting with technology, that something that could be done, and you could just get put away for 100 years, and then all of a sudden it's like you're back.
I'll say, whereabouts have you got to? Have you discovered anything major yet? What's your...
I have a friend who's now in a small device that I carry with me.
Oh, okay, cool. Yep, that's fine. Yep.
Which is interesting. It actually makes me think a bit about, talking about horror, I checked out, this is a bit more crossing the streams, I'd forgotten I watched this last night, but it was very, very good. But while we're kind of related, have you guys ever seen Inside Number 9?
Yes.
So I just watched the live episode.
Oh, mate.
That was very reminiscent of Ghostwatch, if you've ever seen that from back in the day, in the early 90s. You guys ever see Ghostwatch?
Yes.
Yes, so this is basically a modern take on that, but only in half an hour. I kind of wish they'd had more time to play with this format that they went for in Inside Number 9's live episode. The meta element of the horror kind of interacting with the viewer in very strange ways. So Rich, if you remember Ghostwatch fondly, watch the live episode of Inside Number 9. It's absolutely fucking genius. I've never seen the show before, and off the back of that, I'm going to go back and watch a bunch of it, I think, because it seems really
cool. Mate. Did you ever watch League of Gentlemen or anything like that?
Well, interesting. That's what put me off, because I don't like League.
Oh, fair enough.
So I wasn't too interested in what those guys were doing after League, so I never watched it. But no, it was a great bit of meta horror. Really, really good. Richard, you've got like a million things. Why don't you talk about the horror stuff? Yeah, tell me, because I had a reaction to Observer. I didn't love Observer. So what did you think about Observer?
I liked the idea of it, but it takes a while for that idea to become explicit. You basically got to finish it to realize what it's about. And at that point, I thought, oh, that's good. Like that.
It's because you can't talk about it.
Like, yeah, I can't really talk about it because it's quite a big twist, isn't it?
Yes.
But the setting, I kind of like it. It's definitely inspired by Blade Runner to the point that they've got Rutger Hauer in the thing.
That was the problem I have, though. He is phoning that in so bad.
I was going to say that, yeah. I mean, of all the voice acting in that game, his is by far the worst.
It's stunt casting for the sake of it. It's like what Rockstar used to do. They'd get a celebrity to do a voice because that would bring people in. But then they're shit, and it's just like, well, what was the point?
Notably bad, not just
really bad.
He doesn't just sound bored. He sounds really shit, like he's never acted in his life.
Mm-hmm. It's so disappointing. So disappointing. Is that direction? Is that what is that paycheck? I mean, like the guy can't be fucked in that game.
Well, it sounds. I'm sure these things work by just sending a list of lines and they read them off out of context, which is something I wanted to say about Cthulhu actually. So some of the voice acting in Cthulhu is good of itself, but the way that they talk to each other, those characters, it's obvious that they're not actually talking to each other. But in Observer, that is really, really clear that, like you say, it's just being phoned in. But the world itself, once you've been in walking around this tower block for a couple of hours, trying to knock on doors and interview people through their front doors, you never really see anybody apart from the janitor robot and the guy who looks after the place. It's quite an isolating experience. It's quite lonely, oppressive. walking through those corridors, and it does play with the sense of reality when you're jacking into the minds of people that you come across.
That was the other problem I had.
That was a
mind
problem.
stuff feels so fucking derivative horror.
Mm.
Like those set pieces that you go through when you're in people's minds. It's like, oh, there's things floating. Oh, you can't see the floor. Oh, oh, you're repeating the section over and over again. It's like I've seen this so many times before in film and video games that none of it was scary or interesting to me. It just I wasn't playing it for review. I didn't get to the end. Does it get more inventive?
No, the whole thing is pretty much a pastiche.
Right.
You will have seen all of it before somewhere else. Where it does a good job is in the jump scares. That was the same in these guys. It's Bluebird team, isn't it? Who did Layers of Fear before this.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a similar sort of vibe. Where it goes for jump scares, it does them well, but it can't really reach for anything more than that.
It's weird because I played this game at the end of last year because it got a bunch of really positive critical reception around it, and I just don't see it. Like other than the setting, it's just not that great. I mean, I actually think the idea of Layers of Fear setting, it felt more original than this did. Because you don't get that many kind of period set horrors, whereas this just feels, oh, it's a cyberpunk. Okay, it's a cyberpunk thing. All right.
Layers of Fear was better because that's one of those rare cyclical games where you finish it and think, oh, now I need to play it again.
Right.
Because it sort of leads back on itself. You finish it and then, well, for anyone that might still play that because it's on Game Pass, I won't ruin it. But I like those games where you finish it and still feel like you've got to go back and do it again. But canonically, it sort of works. It doesn't feel like, oh, I'm starting a video game again. There's a continuity to it.
I feel bad. I feel bad, Chris, because you've not had time to play a lot of games, so I can't.
I really haven't. I really haven't. I mean, I've occasionally looked at Train Sim, but I'm not sure that's really worth. Yeah, at the moment there is a big project coming on that, but I shall bring more of that up next year when I've got some. I don't think you two personally will be excited by it, but it's exciting.
It's worth bringing up because then we hear Ben say railways.
Railways. Out of the railways.
I'm going to ask a question now, Ben. Before we head to, I'm assuming we're heading to the quiz fairly soon.
We are. That's next. I'm going to torture you both.
That's fine. Are you going to mention anything? Is there an esports question?
Question.
Okay, cool. In that case, just because I'm trying to be positive about gaming because that's what this podcast is very much
about. Bxb, yes.
And I'm usually a cynical bastard, so I think it's only fair to try and be positive.
Yeah.
I think it's fair that we all, as a gaming podcast, say congratulations to Invictus Gaming for winning the, apparently this is a thing, League of Legends World Championship 3-0 today at 7:30 in the morning GMT. Just because it's gaming news.
Yeah.
I mean, not exciting gaming news. I couldn't give a shit about it, but it happened.
Well done to those guys.
The thing has come up before, and I am an old man gamer, and I really struggle to give a shit.
No, I agree. I fully agree.
But it's only getting bigger. And it's only going to get more important. And you've just got to see how these proper sports teams are branching off and have their own esports teams now. And it's just bigger and bigger every year. And I just wish it wasn't called sport.
Yeah.
It's my biggest problem with it.
It's a bit like darts being called a sport.
It's a lot like darts being called
not a sport.
It's definitely not. So for people that maybe I would say self-professed not a big fan of horror, done quite a lot of horror.
Actually.
It's been kind of cool. I'm definitely gonna play more Soma though, Chris, because
mate, do.
I've only heard good things, so I'm gonna try and get through that quite soon.
So many questions. You might hate yourself at one point in the game, or hate yourself towards the end.
Well, I've been seemingly torturing these entities already, and that's quite nasty, shall we say. And on that note of things that are quite nasty, let's get into a weekly test of knowledge.
To the quiz. Come on.
So congratulations, Richard, for the fourth week in a row, I think.
Right, I'm gonna I'm going to start with a real easy slow ball question to get you guys
say
warmed
this
up.
every week.
No, look, you both should know this, and if you don't, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be in trouble. We're going to have to work out a way of doing the answers a bit better because...
Hold on, can we not just send them? Can we not write them to you?
You could send them in the messenger, couldn't you? Yeah,
Yeah.
but then it's a bit boring because it's just me talking. But then I know if you both said it, if you're both honest, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah.
So the first question is, who is the developer of Call of Cthulhu, the game we've just been spending all this time talking about?
You said the
You
said that name so much.
Focus Home Interactive.
Is
That's
the publisher? Yes.
So the developer.
Send me your answer.
Cyanide? Is it cyanide?
Oh, Richard's got ahead of himself.
Yeah, it was.
Question. Yeah. Did you know that, Chris?
No, I didn't. No,
You did. Are you sure you didn't know? You really didn't know it?
No, when I play for the channel, it's like just playing for me. I just record myself talking shit over it.
You must see the splash screen come up every time you load the game up.
Yeah. I see the Daily Mail front page every time I go into the local shop. Doesn't mean I read the bastard.
Okay, the bonus question.
Okay.
I'd be amazed if you don't get this, but it's quite. I was looking at Cyanide's wiki page today, and they are prolific in making games about a particular sport. Which one is it?
Oh, now this one.
Like, it's weird how many games they've made about this sport.
Now this one.
Send me your answers on the chat.
Are we doing that? Are we doing the chat thing?
Yeah, just so when you both say them out loud, I know you're not being the other guy.
But he's going to see what I type anyway.
Oh yeah, that is a good point. It is for everybody, isn't it? All right. Yeah. Well, who wants to go first? We'll just do it that way. We'll alternate. Chris, you go first because Richard went first with the last one.
Okay. I'm going to say cyanide. Golf.
Okay, Richard. It's going to be a total guess. I'm going to say handball.
I love it. I love it. Like Casey Powell's lacrosse and something like one of those other handball games. They do sometimes show up in Game Pass, don't they? It was cycling.
Oh.
They do all the Tour de France games.
Well, it's almost in the name.
Yeah, weird, huh? Though? Who would have thought that? Okay, we're going to move on to the next question. What franchise was Assassin's Creed originally conceived as a sequel to? Richard, you can go first on that one.
Assassin's Creed, a sequel.
Yeah, so before it became Assassin's Creed, they were making it as a sequel to which franchise of video games? Bum, bum, bum. It's actually quite obvious if you think about it.
Flipping heck.
This is easy. You should work this out. Think about who the publisher is.
I am. Right, it's Ubisoft. I'm trying to think what's existed prior to Assassin's Creed because that kind of started off a load of them.
Here we go. Richard, answer please.
Do
you say Rainbow Six? I will laugh.
I can't think of a good answer. Splinter Cell.
Splinter Cell. Chris.
I can think of an answer, but it's probably not a good one. I'm fairly sure I'm not entirely sure this game is even made by Ubisoft. If they've had anything to do with it. The only one I can think of would be Hitman, but I'm pretty sure that's not even a Ubisoft.
It is not Ubisoft.
No, I didn't think it was.
It is not Hitman. It was Prince of Persia.
Prince of Persia's not. Oh, it is Ubisoft.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Name the protagonist for your bonus point. Name the protagonist in Assassin's Creed Unity. Chris.
I'm out. I don't know. I don't fucking know.
I try to make the bonus point, the bonus questions harder. So that's
I don't know. Let's see. He's called Enzio in some of them, isn't he?
Oh, it's not even Enzio. It's Ezio. But good try.
I don't know.
Ezio, and it's not Ezio.
I don't know. Fiero.
That's not too bad. Assassin's Creed character names, but it's not that. Richard. I'll take just his first name, Richard. I'm not even asking for his full name. I mean,
Dave.
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 That Parisian assassin.
I feel a lot less bad now.
It was Arno Dorian. You guys,
I did know that in the back of my head. Arno.
I did. I almost said something. I was going to say Armo.
I might have given you that, considering. Okay, and this is the easier quiz that I tried to make really well. Question number 3. Rockney S. O'Bannon, the creator of Farscape and Sequest DSV, amongst other TV shows, created which sci-fi TV show which Trion Worlds ran a tie-in MMO of? Richard, I think, is it your turn to go first, Richard? It's your turn.
It is, yes, it is. I'm doing the bonus questions first.
Fuck, we talked about it.
We did talk about it. Yes, we did.
Yes, now I'm trying to remember
You
what
said the word.
the fucking name of it was.
2050. Some in 2050. Fuck.
Well, that's the name of the show, so you don't have to worry about the 2050 bit. But that was the game, the second game.
I've forgotten it. Oh no!
Chris, have you got an answer? As Richard is.
It begins with a D.
It does. It does. It's
I think Richard, you even mentioned it. You brought it up. I'm pretty sure.
Oh. Is it
Oh,
I love
Jesus.
Torturing you guys is the best.
Is it the dark one? I've got dark metal in my head, but I'm pretty sure that's not it. Dark metal 2050. Does that sound right?
No, it's one word. I think it begins with a D. It ends in a Y. Something like.
Neither of you got an answer. Neither of you.
I'm going to go with dark metal 2050. Dark metal has one word. It's not that.
2050 part of it anyway, but no.
Yeah.
Richard, no.
No, I've forgotten it.
Hard in the butt for this one. Defiance.
Or as Richard was going for, Defiance.
I was thinking of Destiny, I think. It's getting me confused.
In what year was Defiance cancelled?
The TV show.
The TV show, yes.
2014.
2014, Chris?
2013.
You always split
be a prick.
it. You always split it and go the wrong way, Chris.
Is it 2015?
2015, yeah. I love how you always go the wrong way on those. Every time. Another easy one. This is an easy one, guys. And Richard, you're going to get this, I'm sure. Chris, you'll probably get this as well.
Mm-hmm.
Who is the man credited predominantly for the creation of the Oculus Rift? Also mentioned earlier in the show.
Yeah. Iberi. Trexler Iberi. What the fuck was his first name? Oh no, he's not him.
Nope.
Not him. Oh, I should know.
You should both know. You own one, Chris, as well.
Yes, I do own one. I should fucking know this.
Mentioned him myself earlier on in the podcast. Shows how much you pay attention to me, boys. It's very upsetting.
Am I allowed to say?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Surname is Lucky. What's his first name?
I want both for this. Come on, this is easy. This is so easy. It's like 2 years ago. This guy was talked about every week.
I'm going to throw a first name out there because he's given us the last name. Damon Lucky. Sounds like a game developer. You can imagine that, couldn't you? You
really need to tell you. Oh, all right. Palmer Lucky. That is the most weird name ever. How can you guys not remember Palmer Lucky? All right, fine. God, this was genuinely easy. I'm going to make them hard again next time because you guys got more right last time with the harder question. Right. How much funding? And I'll give point to the best closest.
How much? What the fuck?
How much funding did the Kickstarter raise for the Oculus Rift?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Are we going for a ballpark figure here?
I'll get our closest wins on this one.
Oh,
somebody has to get a point. Jesus.
I think Richard's 1-0 up.
He is, yeah.
How?
Because you got the first question right. $20 million.
Richard?
8.7 million.
Now, this is an interesting one because early Kickstarter successes, even the runaway successes, were actually a lot less than modern Kickstarter successes are. It was only 2.5 million.
Yeah,
but Richard, you can have that because you were ballpark closest.
Yeah,
as I agree. But yeah, it's curious to me because it's like, wow, back then that was considered huge, but now we've had like 20, 30 million pound ones and dollars ones. It's like it's a much different sort of thing, isn't it? Okay, this is a hard one. Maybe you'll get this. Okay, name one of the Japanese exclusive PlayStation Classic games. These are only on the PlayStation Classic in Japan.
What, as in like the PlayStation Mini thing? They've got different games on it.
They do, yes.
Okay.
Can I put a guess in first?
If you want, yeah.
I believe it was based on a Japanese ghost story, Fatal Frame.
No.
Ah, fuck it.
Fatal Frame's PS2.
Is it? Oh, fuck.
Can I test my luck with Vandal Hearts?
No.
Ah!
We can have a couple of guesses. This is kind of amusing. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games that are different.
Okay.
Of which I recognise the name of 2, 3.
Great. Thanks for that.
Brilliant.
Great. So, yeah,
I know
cheers.
3.
Cheers for that.
Yeah, it's fine.
Putting that 8-wheeled bus in front of us, why not?
So, but 2 of them are big. Like, big Japanese franchises. One more guess from each of you. Come on.
Got to be an RPG of some description, isn't it?
Oh.
Chris having a moment.
Well, I'm just wondering if it could be because they might just do this. They might Japanese exclusives. Final Fantasy VI.
I would have personally preferred 8 over 7. I wish they'd done that, but or 6 to be honest. But 7's not that great. But no,
I'm assuming that's a no then.
No.
Yeah, fair enough.
Richard, one more guess.
I can't think of a good guess.
All right, I'll tell you the list. It's interesting.
Go on.
Arc the Lad 2, now an obvious one. Armored Core, Gradius Gaiden, 11, which is just a game. XI, maybe it's pronounced XI. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the cartoon one.
Yeah, I think it was 11. I think, wasn't it?
Saga Frontier, G Darius, and then another big one, Parasite Eve. Okay. Bonus point.
Here we go.
2 of the 20 games were European launch titles on the PlayStation Classics. Which were they? Name either of them.
Battle Arena Shinden.
That's one. Do you get a point? Can you name the other, Chris?
I know which one I first saw on a PS1, but I don't know if it was a launch title.
I know what it is.
I'm going to go with Raymond. I don't think it was.
That wasn't even
Destruction Derby.
Nope, wasn't Destruction Derby either.
Yeah, it was.
Jumping Flash.
Oh, fuck, it was. You're right. Oh, no.
Sorry, you didn't even.
You're right.
You still got a point. You still got a point.
You're right.
So...
I thought Raymond was on the Classic. I must
but
have
it's
misread.
not on the list, no.
No, I must have misread.
Okay, question number 6. This is going brilliantly. What year did the first Intellivision get released in the UK?
Yeah, 1979.
Richard?
It is 1979.
No, in the UK it was 1981. 79 was...
Damn it!
Because
I had a shot.
The 79 was the international release, yes. So bad. 2 years later in the UK.
Balls!
Back in the day when it would take that long for shit to come out over here.
Yes.
Yeah. So
That's what happens when there's no international trade
I love
agreements,
that.
isn't it?
That reaction from Chris was, I read the wiki in preparation, and I know this, and you didn't.
I thought just once. I had my moment. My moment in the sun.
Because he's a bastard. He'll do an Intellivision question. I know it. I love it. Brilliant. I'll memorize this. So though, to be fair, this is also from the wiki, so you might get this as correct as well. Yeah. What is the best-selling game on the Intellivision? I will even take just what type of game, because this is peculiar. But I will take what type.
It came out in the UK afterwards, so it's probably not.
It sold 1.9 million units. I don't know if you can hear it, but I've got loads of fireworks going off here as well.
Yeah, I can hear a few things actually. I'm going to go with, since you said you'd take the type of game, I'm going to go with an educational side-scrolling adventure.
I guess you could say you could learn how to play the real life equivalent of this by playing this game, but no, it wasn't a side-scrolling educational game.
Is it Burger Time?
No. What would you learn from Burger Time?
How to make
flip a
burgers.
burger, yeah.
Badly, with gross green-looking shit.
I'm guessing it's some sort of sports game, is it? Baseball?
I think sports a stretch. It's Las Vegas poker and blackjack.
Oh. Okay.
Wow, it's going so well. Question 7. What is Red Dead Redemption 2's current Metacritic score?
Ooh.
That's tricky because I think across formats it's significantly different, isn't it?
Well,
The Xbox
PC is
one
on
was
0.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I
Yeah.
think Xbox and PS4 are pretty similar, mate.
I saw something about the Xbox version getting hammered by PS4 fanboys.
No, but that's not the critical score. That would be the
Fanboys.
critical score will be critics. So
97 then?
Chris?
You see, because of your previous comment, I really want to go above him. But to give a game 98 or higher would be one heck of a game. So I'm going to go with 95.
It's actually 97.
Oh, you bastard. Well done, Richard.
He dropped that good. He dropped that good.
No, fair play. Fair play.
It's had the second largest opening weekend period of sales in all time, behind which game? Chris can go first.
There's a lot. There's a lot that this could be.
There's not a lot. Not really.
Well, no, technically there's only one. But
But there's only a few franchises that would even be in this ballpark.
yeah.
I think I know this.
Problem is they're not franchises I would necessarily pick up and play.
There's not a lot of shit, let's put it that way. Richard wants.
Fuck you! Fuck you, Richard!
Russian. Love it. Mind games. You know he's winning 4-0. He wants all the points.
Batman. Batman.
Batman. No.
Go on, Richard. The floor is yours.
FIFA 19.
No.
Spider-Man?
Largest opening weekend period of sales goes to GTA 5. Which
Some
I'm
of the
surprised
Rockstar
wasn't
games.
obvious, really. But you think
I
about
was
it.
thinking this year. Did you say ever?
Yeah, I
He
didn't
did say ever, yeah.
but I was just like, I was talking about ever. Well, I've got a tiebreaker question.
What the heck?
I might as well use it. I might as well use it, and it's
Would you like to gamble?
it's yeah, Richard.
You want to gamble?
You want to gamble
Keep your 3 points.
This is close as you can get. Ballpark it. What year is the Necronomicon first mentioned in the story by Lovecraft?
Jesus, fuck.
Chris can go first, but it's ballpark anyway. So. Yeah, Chris can go first so he doesn't go lower than Richard's, like always.
19... 1915.
Richard?
I don't know. I'm going to go off the wall. 1797.
What?
I think can we give him a re-guess?
Alive in 1790. What?
I think should we give Richard a re-guess because I think what he means, Rich, is when the story was originally published by Lovecraft, which story was the first to mention the Necronomicon?
Oh, I thought you meant when is it mentioned in the stories?
No.
As in how old is the Necronomicon in the story?
No.
Okay.
And now I've thought about that question. My answer could be fucking miles off. So
It's closer than Richard's. I'll give you that.
Let me get around.
Through time, I think you've got that one there. Go on, Rich. You have another guess.
Is it like mid-40s? 45?
You really aren't aware of when Lovecraft was alive at all, are you?
No. I haven't read it for ages.
When
was he alive?
In the like the 20s, in the 30s. He might have been alive. I don't know. But
I got a point.
Yeah, Chris gets the point. Yeah.
I got a point.
1924.
Oh, I was still miles off, but I'll take the point.
Closer than 45. So Chris, therefore, at the very last moment, pulls himself off the 0 mark. Well done, Chris.
Yay!
Easier or harder? Was that easier or harder?
I mean,
that was really hard.
Easier. Sorry.
That was really hard.
Oh, it was Palmer Lucky. How did neither of you get Palmer Lucky? I mean, what?
Why would anyone know that now?
As I said to you before the podcast, I don't know the minutiae of gaming industry.
So he's not even a current figure. Like, he left Oculus years ago.
Super important figure though in all of VR development. I mean, come on. I mean, I don't know how to. I'll try and make it easy. It's difficult though because I'm trying to do it related to what we've talked about. So it's actually quite hard to do that, like, and not be hard. Otherwise, it's really obvious because we literally just spoke about it. But several of those answers were from things we discussed.
Yeah,
like,
fair.
How you all brain farted on that? Like, that was definitely trying to be easier. But that was fun as always. I love torturing you guys with those. It's worth the effort to make it.
It probably is better when they're that hard, actually.
Yeah. So I think next week, do your hardest. The
do
most obscure.
I was thinking I'd just do it just about Sims for you, Chris. Just about train sim and boat sim and fishing sim and prison sim. I'm just trying to think of Sims.
Yeah, I thought for a second you meant what, the EA People franchise. I've played it occasionally. I wouldn't. I've not mentioned it enough to warrant a quiz about it.
10 questions about the Sims specifically that we'll go with the Sims 2.
Yes. Yeah. What did your sim call their child? Well, I named him Tim, but my sim called him.
Wow, cool. I'm not even finished my second beer yet. We're already talking gibberish. It's all good. So I think that brings us to the conclusion of Bxb'S Bits and Bobs episode 58 with our regular test of knowledge. Richard is now 4-0 up. For the series.
Only going to get wider. The gap is only going to get wider.
So I mean, Chris, I want you to win one of these.
I share that ambition, but I know me.
I'm willing it. I'm next. It's all going to be Sims next time.
Okay, all right.
We've got to get you into one of these contests soon, Ben.
What you're going to do one for me?
No, I'm going to Alan Davis and QI it.
I tell you what, okay, we'll do this for the game of the year type end of year podcast. If you guys want to come up with a quiz for me, I'd be happy to have a go.
Okay,
I'm going to obliterate you with what is the cheat mode on Chase HQ on the Atari ST?
It is tricky. It is tricky writing quizzes which are attainable.
Yeah.
Who said anything about being attainable? You just said let's write a quiz for you, so you're on.
Oh God, no. Yes, I'm sure I'll fail just as badly as you. Not be a surprise. Thank you very much, guys, for coming along. Plug yourself, Chris. Plug yourself.
You find me as the Humble Gamer on youtube.com/HumbleGamerTube and Twitch at twitch.tv/HumbleGamerTwitch. Also Twitter, HumbleGamer at HumbleGamer at HumbleGamer News on Twitter, and Instagram at HumbleGamer Insta, and also Facebook.com/HumbleGamer. Sorry, the dog is attacking some of the hamster's supplies.
Oh, is this not? I thought you were going to say hamsters then. Like it's just chewing on a hamster. That would be bad.
No. It's not just attacking the hamsters. It's attacking the hamster's supplies.
Not that.
Oi, Bexley.
They should protect their supplies better. Then they should put like a little fort around them or something. Richard, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter. Not much else. I'm Colonel Red on Twitter. If you're interested in me moaning about the EU and stuff, that's probably all you're going to see for next year.
Selling it hard there.
Yeah.
And you can find BXB Games at Twitter, at BXB Games, on Facebook /BXB Games, Twitch, BXB Games. Mostly that's just restreaming Humble Gamer stuff, to be honest.
Yeah.
YouTube is BXB Games, obviously. It's everywhere, it's BXB Games. It'd be great if you could head over to iTunes and rate and review us. But to be honest, I'm not really sure anybody even uses iTunes anymore. I know I don't for my podcast.
SoundCloud.
Does anybody go on there anymore? I mean, it's like we have, if you subscribe to the podcast, just use the basic RSS feed thing for it that's linked in all the show posts, because iTunes is a piece of shit that just hogs system resources. So if you can avoid using it, I would. I might look into seeing if I can get us on Spotify. I don't know what you do to get a podcast on Spotify, but there are some on there, so that might be worth doing.
I'm on Spotify.
Sorry?
I'm on Spotify. One track of my musical career is on Spotify.
Oh wow, that's cool. That's really cool. I use Spotify pretty much exclusively now for music and stuff, so that's all I use there. But yeah, find us on social media, interact with us, watch our reviews, especially read Richard's views, read his words. He does good words.
He does the best words,
actually. Yeah, totally.
Oh, thanks.
He does the best words.
I mean, he does the only words, but he does the best words.
Exclusively Richard's written content now, pretty much. Other than the odd Switch thing from me. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks, probably talk about more about Red Dead. I'm trying to think what else is coming up. It's a bit quiet at the moment, isn't it? There's not a huge amount of games. I feel like I'm missing something obvious though.
There's a few Switch bits coming out. So we've got Pokemon this month.
All right, okay. And I know
Battlefield. Pokemon Let's Go.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we've got Smash Brothers soon after that.
Yeah, okay. Richard, you'll be covering that singly by yourself. Telling us why we're idiots for not liking it. But I might play it just so I can kill loads of Nintendo characters. That's cool. Right. Be back in a couple of weeks. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching live. Thanks for watching on the recording. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Au revoir.